watch. It's absolutely fantastic. It's like a World Series game.
It really is. That kind of, I mean, we hope it comes across. So stay with us today. It's going to be really an exciting day. And we'll be back with the start of the ball game in just a minute.
Wednesday night at 7:30, the Rangers take on the Flyers in exciting hockey playoff action. For the best seat in the house, tune into Channel 9, your station for sports.
Headlines heralded the coming of Keith Hernandez, while Neil Allen and Rick Ownby were on their way to St. Louis. The Cardinals, world champions in '82, stumbled to third last year. But where will they go this year without super reliever Bruce Sutter, a free agent defector to Atlanta? Allen will once again be called upon to be the bullpen stopper he once was in New York.
Well, actually, Steve, when you look at our '82 championship club and our club today, our second baseman, shortstop, center fielder, and catcher are still the same. And our left fielder is still Lonnie Smith. So we have 5 of the 8 regulars back. Our corners are changed. We have Jack Clark at first. We have Terry Pendleton at third over Keith Hernandez and Kenny Overfelt. And, of course, our right fielder this year will be Andy Van Slyke, a young ball player that we're expecting great things from. We still have a good ball club. What everybody's looking at, we've lost the most important part of our ball club when we lost Bruce Sutter. He was the thing that our ball club was built on. We tried to get into a situation by having a relief pitcher like that to cut the other team's chances down to 21 outs instead of 27. And 95% of the time, he did that job. Now he's gone. He took free agency. And we're going to have to hope that the Neil Allens, Jeff Lottys, Andy Hassler, Ricky Hart, and people like that can work together as a team, give us a bullpen depth we need, and if we can get the job done out there, then I think we'll be all right. We also have to have some offensive years, like Lonnie Smith's got to come back and hit 300. We got to hope Van Slyke blossoms. Porter's got to do better batting average than he did last year. And if those things all happen, we could be in the race. This is a division. The best team doesn't always win. It's the one that plays the best.
When Hernandez brought his all-star credentials and gold gloves to Shea, he joined 5-time all-star George Foster. But the pieces were beginning to fall in place. Homegrown Darryl Strawberry emerged as the National League Rookie of the Year after starting the year at Tidewater. Then last year, Dwight Gooden, Dr. K, followed with his Rookie of the Year season, setting all kinds of strikeout records in the process. Add to that lineup Gary Carter, another all-star and arguably the best catcher in baseball, and you can understand Davey Johnson's optimism as we start the season.
Well, I think the biggest thing probably was the acquisition of Carter, and he's a very selective hitter, and he's going to be in the middle of a lineup that last year we had a lot of free swingers in, and just him being there has made Darryl Strawberry even a better hitter, and also George Foster, so we should score more runs. We also have much more depth this year. Last year, if I had an injury to a third baseman, I'd have a shortstop playing over there. This year, with Ray Knight and Howard Johnson, we're covered there. You know, I've got 3 good catchers. Probably, as Vern Hochschild would say, they've probably got the best throwing arms of any catchers in the league. And my outfield, you know, I think I got the best outfield in baseball. I have a young pitching staff with very little experience, but I've got a lot of tremendous arms out there.
Live from Shea Stadium in New York, it's Mets Baseball 85. Today, the St. Louis Cardinals take on the New York Mets on opening day. Pitching for the Cardinals this afternoon, Joaquin Andujar, 20-14 last year with an ERA of 3.34. And going for the Mets, the #1 man in strikeouts in the National League last year, Dwight Gooden, who was 17-9 with an ERA of 2.60. Well, once again, hi, everybody, and welcome back to Shea Stadium, and a sold-out Shea Stadium it is there on opening day. Steve Zabriskie along with Tim McCarver and Ralph Kiner, who is down on the field. And George Bush, the Vice President of the United States, is just about set to throw out the first ball. All the anticipation and hype is over Timmy now, even though the Mets had a good spring training. Last year was exciting and a second-place finish. You can forget all that, and we start anew.
Yeah, and especially with all the hype in the Big Apple, I think the players right now are trying to really suppress their emotions. As the media builds it up, they've got to kind of tone it down. And even if you're a veteran player, you can't help but be affected. You've got the Vice President of the United States out there. You've got all the hype that only the Big Apple can bring to you. A packed house, the stage is set.
Well, the Mets, with Dwight Gooden going, of course, his first opening day start. And his second season, everybody's wondering, is the sophomore jinx for real? Can he do what he did last year? I've got to believe that with his talent and ability, we don't need to worry about that a whole lot.
I think that's part of that suppressing all of the things that have happened in the past, because after all, baseball is like anything else. It's what have you done for me lately? And Dwight Gooden is in great shape. He was 4-0 in the spring, a 1.93 ERA. He's ready, and I think the St. Louis Cardinals are ready. The St. Louis Cardinals could be a big surprise in the National League East this year if, as Whitey Herzog said in our opener, if they can get some bullpen help, especially short bullpen help.
Well, one of the great cliches as you look at Vice President Bush there is that the club will go as far as its pitching will take it, and that certainly is the case as far as the St. Louis Cardinals are concerned. And many people, Timmy, feel that that's also the major factor as far as the key to the Mets' success is concerned. What about these young arms? With Bill Latham and Roger McDowell added to the staff and Sid Fernandez being demoted on the last day of spring training, is the staff, aside from Dwight Gooden and perhaps Ron Darling, going to be good enough to complement what should be an outstanding lineup with the acquisition, of course, of Gary Carter?
Well, I think that pitching for both clubs is very, very important, but in a different respect. The young pitchers for the Mets, as you see, the youngest pitcher on the Mets staff, are the guys that have to come through, and the St. Louis Cardinals have older, more established pitchers. For instance, Bob Forsch is the type of pitcher that they have to come through, and he's had a good spring also. Speaking of good springs, huh?
Well, George Bush has had a pretty good 4+ years along with President Reagan, and as you can see, has now acquired his personal Mets jacket. With a good luck wish for Dwight Gooden, he will throw out the first ball. Not bad. Left-handed fielding and throwing first baseman at Yale University some years ago. Vice President Bush.
You put that very nicely.
Well, when you're speaking of a diplomat, you need to be diplomatic.
That's right.
And you can tell he's excited to be here. Of course, Mayor Koch here as well, receiving his usual huge ovation from this large crowd.
Steve, by the way, another reason for the vice president's visit today, he is with the president of Ecuador, His Excellency Leon Fabre Cordero. That's a hyphenated last name, Fabre Cordero. And so he will be having a visit to talk over the South American situation. So what do you want, folks? We got local politics, international politics, American politics, and not incidentally, a baseball game.
That's right. Baseball has its own brand of politics as well. We won't get into that. But we will tell you that defensively, of course, it'll be Keith Hernandez at first base for the Mets. Hernandez, as you see, really, I believe, coming into his prime in his already illustrious career. Wally Backman will be at second base again this year, platooning with Kelvin Chapman. Backman coming off a fine season last year and a very good spring training. Rafael Santana at shortstop has earned the job. He won it last year, and he does it all. At third base, Howard Johnson, who plans to be there along with Ray Knight when Ray comes off the disabled list. But Hojo, who struggled this spring early, really got hot the last week or 10 days. Out in left field, as always, it'll be George Foster, entering his 14th season in the big leagues, and George had a fine spring as well. Mookie Wilson, bothered a little bit by a shoulder problem in his throwing arm, still hit the ball extremely well in spring training, and he will be a fixture again in center field. And many believe the franchise, Darryl Strawberry, of course, in right, still just 23 years old. Here is the man who was the franchise for the Montreal Expos, and the Mets are hoping he'll do the same here in New York. Gary Carter starting his first game behind the plate and catching the 1984 Rookie of the Year, Dwight Gooden. 276 strikeouts to set an all-time rookie record and lead the major leagues last year.
And a good doctor from Tampa, Florida. Remember, only 3 years ago, he was pitching for Hillsborough High in Tampa. The doctor will be facing Lonnie Smith, the left fielder, leading off. Tommy Herr, the second baseman, batting second. Terry Pendleton, the third baseman, batting third. I might add, before we go on, that Steve Braun is a replacement. He is batting sixth, and Willie McGee, who was slated to bat third, has been scratched. Jack Clark batting fourth. Darrell Porter, the catcher, batting fifth. There's Steve Braun in right field. He'll bat sixth. Andy Van Slyke in the center field spot today. Ozzie Smith, the Wizard of Oz, at shortstop. And Joaquin Andujar, who
should be interesting when he comes up, and the Mets hope he comes up at least in the 3rd inning.
That's right. Keep him till the 3rd. He'll bat either right-handed or left-handed. Last year he hit a home run once each way. Well, the crowd anticipating Gooden's first pitch. You know they want it to be a strike. Lonnie Smith, who batted .250 last year with 6 home runs and 49 RBIs, leads it off for St. Louis. And it is a strike. Smith with really an off year as far as his batting average is concerned. Carter's going to go out now and chase down a balloon that got on the field. Lonnie had been somewhat of a perennial 300 hitter prior to last season. Fouled away for strike 2, and now the crowd will really begin to build, as they did just about every time last season Gooden had 2 strikes on a batter.
I think it's interesting to note that Dwight Gooden will get ahead of a lot of hitters on foul balls. They foul balls back primarily the other way. But with 2 strikes, he seems to put a little extra on it.
And a breaking ball is up high, ball 1.
Goodness.
Where was that? Well, Bob Engel, the home plate umpire, sort of took the air out of the balloon as far as the crowd's concerned. They thought it was strike 3, and so did Gooden and Carter. Now, Carter wanted an appeal to first base umpire Paul Runge. And also, there's a beach ball now, as you see Darryl Strawberry handing it to the ball girl in right field.
And I guarantee you, the Cardinals, when they face Dwight Gooden, they do not see balls that look that big.
No one does. More about the size of an aspirin tablet. 2-2. Breaking ball in the dirt. Smith didn't go for it, and a full count.
I think the key to this game today is to keep the rabbits off the bases. All of these Cardinals can run. They had 20 guys with over stolen bases, and everybody knows how tough a time Dwight Gooden had holding them on last year.
Fastball fouled away out of play, still 3-2. Dwight worked a great deal on his move and also his changeup this spring. But the Mets have been reluctant to change a whole lot about him, and you might understand why with the success he's had. So on the plus side of that was he didn't allow that many base runners to begin with last year. Looped into center field. Mookie Wilson over toward left center, makes the catch, 1 away. So the crowd has yet to celebrate their first strikeout.
I think that's an interesting point, Steve, that Dwight Gooden and especially Gary Carter's got to keep in mind. The idea in baseball is to get people out, and you can't get caught up with the fanfare of the strikeouts like Dwight Gooden has a tendency to do, not because he is prone to do that, but because he's still only 20 years old. The idea is to you know, on certain occasions, allow the guys to hit the ball. Make them hit the ball and put it in play. Don't try to blow everybody away. And a catcher can really help in that respect, and I think Carter will do that.
He's the kind of guy that can handle that situation. Ball 1 to Tom Hurd. Tommy, a guy who does not strike out a lot, a good contact hitter, hit .276 last year, 4 homers and 49 RBIs, and has really come back from a couple of serious knee problems. Was telling me in spring training that he hasn't felt this good in a long time. High again, ball 2.
He obviously looks good too, because the Cardinals have just rewarded him with a new 4-year contract.
Dwight Gooden, incidentally, as you look at his record here last year, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, is the youngest pitcher to pitch an opening day game this century.
Goodness.
John Montgomery Ward in 1889 was 19 on opening day. There's strike 1, 2-1.
That was before he went into the department store business.
That's exactly right. Terry Pendleton, a fine young third baseman for the Cardinals, on deck. In fact, John Montgomery Ward played for the famous Providence Grays back in 1889. Two and two.
Saw Tommy Hurd take the 2-0 pitch. I think that's how the Cardinals will face Gooden. Lonnie Smith took the first strike, and they'll try to make him get the ball down. That ball upstairs really has some high riding movement on it.
And if you get a bat on that ball, about all you can do is foul it off or pop it up. There's the high one, and another full count. So Gooden has gone 3-2 to the first 2 hitters today.
In warmer weather, that would be a ball. Gooden going to his mouth, but it is about 45 degrees here, cold enough to be able to go to your mouth.
Fouled away and still a full count. Also kind of a blustery day. The wind is swirling around in the stadium. Hasn't really decided which direction it's going to blow, but that really makes it even colder out there. There's the flag. As you can see, standing out pretty well. And again, the fastball fouled back. 1 out here in the top of the first. Nobody on, and a full count to Tom Herr.
That was your point. 2 pitches ago, Tommy Herr has swung at 2 pitches, 2-3-2 pitches that could have been out of the strike zone, but all he could do with them was foul it back.
Carter couldn't hold on, and Tom Herr foul tipped it in and out of Carter's glove, so he remains alive. And again, the crowd a little disappointed. They'd like to get the first strikeout over with so they can settle down.
Well, there's really no such thing as having good enough reactions. The ball is either in your mitt or it's not. I remember Joe Becker, an old pitching coach back in the mid-60s, had me go to a bigger mitt to catch foul tips, and I went to a bigger mitt to catch foul tips, and then I couldn't throw anybody out because I couldn't get the ball out of the mitt.
The ball's buried in there.
Right. Couldn't find it. So I caught more foul tips, more guys were in on me.
Trade-off.
A bad trade-off, too, I might add.
Usually a lot more base runners than there are possible caught foul tips.
Right.
Another 3-2 pitch to Herr. And again, fouled away.
Outfield shaded way around to left field because Gooden is in a situation where he's going to throw gas. Mookie Wilson way into left center field. George Foster right near the line. Look how far toward the line Foster is. And there's his neighbor, Mookie Wilson.
And again, it's fouled away.
Here's where, as a pitcher and a catcher, you've got to be patient. You've got to keep throwing the gas. No sense in trying to fool around with her and trying to drop a curveball over because the percentages just aren't with you in this situation.
You especially wouldn't want to do that with the outfield set up the way it is. This one's hit pretty well to center field. Mookie going back, and he gets there. Fine running catch by Mookie Wilson for out number 2.
Watch where this pitch is. That ball was down in the strike zone, and that's why Tommy Herr hit it effectively. Mookie making a nice running catch. But as we said, he was into left center field, so when he ran after the ball was on his glove hand, so he really didn't have as much of a problem as it appeared.
Now, backhanded play going back like that is much, much tougher.
Exactly.
Here's Terry Pendleton. All he did last year after being called up was hit .324 against the National League, and he hit .421 against Mets pitching. Ball 1 low. Pendleton appears to be a fixture now at third base, replacing the traded Ken Oberkfell, now in Atlanta. Did he hold up? Yes, says Dave Pallone, the third base umpire.
He easily held up, really. His hands led through the strike zone, but that bat head's got to be out there. Give it a look-see. Watch the hands lead through, but that bat head's got to be, you know, you got to extend that bat head. He held up in time.
I think the real criteria is, did he offer it the pitch?
Almost every replay looks like he's went around.
He went after some high heat out of the strike zone that time. 2 balls and a strike. Dwight last year was 1-1 against the Cardinals with a 4.08 ERA. Just missed. 3-1. As you see, Pendleton had pretty good success against Gooden last year. Popped up, could be playable, but now it's drifting back. Unless the wind brings it back, it'll be out of play, and it is.
Well, you don't know what's going to happen, but so far it's really not a good at bat for Terry Pendleton. Should be ball 5 on that pitch. He swung at a 2-0 fastball out of the strike zone up, and a 3-1 fastball. And the one thing you want on a 2-0 3-1 count, that's a very offensively position for a hitter to be in, an offensive position for a hitter to be in. You want the ball to be right in your power zone.
And the 3rd straight full count of the inning. Popped up and playable on the left side. Johnson and Santana both calling for it, fighting the sun, and it's Rafael Santana who makes the catch for out number 3. No strikeouts, but a 1-2-3 inning for Gooden in the first as the season is underway. And let's go downstairs on the field now to Ralph Kiner and Vice President George Bush. 20-game winner last year, but because of the poor second half he had and the emergence of Dwight Gooden and the Cubs pitching, he did not figure in the Cy Young Award balloting, but he can do the job.
Joaquin Andujar, or Jack as his friends call him, from San Pedro de Macorís, will be facing Wally Backman, the second baseman, leading off. Center fielder Mookie Wilson batting second. First baseman Keith Hernandez will hit third. And batting fourth, Gary Carter, the catcher. Right fielder Darryl Strawberry batting fifth. Left fielder George Foster. What a tough middle part of that lineup it is. George will bat sixth. George, the cleanup hitter last year. Fastball hitting Howard Johnson, the third baseman, batting seventh. Rafael Santana, the shortstop, who is from the same hometown as Andujar, San Pedro de Macorís. He'll bat eighth, and Dwight Gooden, a pretty good hitting pitcher, batting ninth.
Last year against New York, Andujar was 3-1, and he is 11-5 for his career against the Mets with a 2.90 ERA. So he's been tough on the New York hitters, although this lineup is arguably the best that the Mets have ever been able to put out there. And here's Wally Backman, a guy who does the job every day and does everything a manager could ask of him. Has really become an effective leadoff hitter for the Mets, as Davey Johnson really thought he would be after managing him at Tidewater. Walter hit .280 last year with a homer and 26 RBIs and stole 32 bases. Ground ball to second on the very first pitch, and Herr will throw to Clark for 1 out.
The Mets will approach Andujar completely opposite than the Cardinals approach Gooden. I think the Mets will probably be early count hitting. Of course, the Mets do not have as patient a lineup as the Cardinals, but you don't want Andujar to get ahead of you to throw the breaking ball and the split finger fastball.
Mookie Wilson with a bunt, but it's going foul. And picked up before it can do anything else. Mookie and Backman both have been working in spring training a great deal on bunting the ball, particularly the other way. And Backman has been working a lot on pushing the ball toward the second base position past the pitcher.
Bringing it with him.
Right, because the teams play him so much the other way that if he can bring that second baseman back to a normal position, it'll open up the middle a little bit. And the coaching staff has been encouraging both those guys to put the ball down more often and take advantage of their speed.
That's a good idea also to do that early in the season, because when you do it early in the season, it gets around the league, and then a second baseman, without having faced the Mets, will go ahead and start out playing him straight away when they first face him. I mean, after all, it's like a network of these pitchers have in the National League.
Scouts are everywhere too. Mookie fouls it away, and it's strike two. Mookie had 46 stolen bases last year. He is the all-time Mets leader in thefts. And there's a little bit different view we're going to be giving you from time to time this season. A look from right down the left field line. Fouled away, still 0-2.
You know, in effect right now, you could bounce a breaking ball a couple of times and really tease Mookie Wilson. He's only walked 45 times in the last 2 years, 18 times a couple of years ago as a leadoff man. That's why he's batting second. She shouldn't throw a ball anywhere near the strike zone now.
And Andujar did not. Mookie hit the Cardinals very, very well last year. He batted .313 against St. Louis. Right back up the middle, base hit. Andujar dove for the ball and went to the ground but couldn't stop it. And Mookie has the first hit of the new season.
A lot of times I think pitchers and catchers just get too impatient. Now still, that's a pretty good pitch right there. But if you throw that ball down, a breaking ball down out of the strike zone, as we were saying, I think you have a better chance of having Mookie swing at it. You got to try to bounce that breaking ball with 2 strikes on Wilson. We see other teams do it, but it's unbelievable that some teams are not as adept at pitching to Wilson as some teams are.
And there are a couple other hitters in the Mets lineup that are the same way, not exactly patient hitters. This guy, Keith Hernandez, however, is not one of them.
Right.
Throw to first and a close play.
Very, very quick move from Joaquin Andujar. He is like a cat out on that mound.
Hernandez, .311 last year, 15 homers, 94 RBIs. A little more of a lazy move that time over to first. And Hernandez last year, as players are wont to do, really hit well against his former team, the Cardinals. He hit .328 against St. Louis. A strike call. 0-1.
Guess you got to figure that a team knows how to pitch a guy that they've traded. However, the hitter knows that they know. And if you know that they know, you're still one step ahead of them. Right?
That's right. You can anticipate what's coming.
Right.
Well, that's half the battle right there. And Hernandez, of course, like many players, wanted to do extra special against his club. Mookie running. The pitch is low and the throw is high. Stolen base number 1 for 1985 for Mookie.
Well, Porter did not have a good pitch to throw. The throw is high because Porter had too much to do with the ball after he caught it. Mookie looking there in case Hernandez is going to pop it up. I mean, after all, you don't lose anything. Watch him look. See that look? 3 steps and look. If he pops it up, he can go back to first base. And that costs you nothing in speed because, after all, you better know where you're going.
And where you are.
And where you are. That's right.
A 1-1 count on Hernandez. Now with Mookie at second base and 1 out. And the crowd coming to life as the Mets have their first scoring opportunity of the new season. And a breaking ball, giving him that changeup.
Seen guys who throw the split finger fastball. Andujar almost changes on that pitch. So it's a combination of a split finger fastball and a changeup. It's a very unusual pitch developed last year.
Takes something off of it and has a split finger motion to make it go down. Ground ball, foul, just outside the first base bag. So Mookie will go back to second to count 1-2.
Tell you, that was close. It was foul, but it was very, very close. Now where the ball lands, as you can see, it landed barely foul, but it's where it goes over the bag. And first base umpire Paul Runge right on that play. It was a foul ball, but not by much.
So Hernandez behind in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ripped, but foul again. Andujar is not holding back on showing you his assortment of pitches. He's thrown about everything he has in his repertoire already.
He's pitching like he's hitting usually.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a good slider right there, but Hernandez, one of the best 2-strike hitters in baseball, can fight off that pitch inside. Protects the outside part of the plate very well.
Off-speed delivery and a base hit to center field, and here comes Wilson. Van Slyke will have no play, and the Mets lead 1-0.
We said Hernandez protects the outside part of the plate. That's where the breaking ball was. Not only is it not a breaking ball that Andujar is used to throwing, but Hernandez is protecting away also. So it's a bad combination of pitches. And Hernandez has his first RBI of the year. It looks like Andujar may have a blister on his throwing hand. Gene Gieselman, the trainer of the Cardinals out there.
The inimitable Gene Gieselman.
The executive trainer, right?
And here comes Whitey Herzog. He also is obviously concerned, as Andujar will be attended to. That
ball may have hit him. The line drive back through the box may have caught a finger. A lot of times pitchers will stick that bare hand out there. And Andujar, I think, in that particular situation, may have not been able to get that hand out of there in time. It's either that or a blister, but on a cold day like today, you know there's only blue showing up on that hand.
That's right. And you got to believe it wouldn't really be a blister. Andujar having not worked for a few days and only warmed up before the game.
Yep. So the initial prognosis was probably wrong. Let's see if it got a little tip of the finger. It looks like the middle finger. Breaking ball away. Andujar jumps up. Nope. No, he didn't. He reached for that ball, and it did catch some skin.
Looks like
that's why pitching coaches are scared to death when a pitcher reaches out for that bare hand. It's a reaction type of play. It's hurting him too.
Yeah, the one thing you want to do that you react to is not let the ball go through.
Right.
So you stick anything out there. It looked a little bit on the replay like it's either his middle finger or his ring finger. If it's his ring finger, it's obviously a little bit less of a problem. If it's his middle finger, it could be a major problem because that's the finger with which you control the baseball
and apply pressure.
Right. Here is Gary Carter's first Shea Stadium at bat as a New York Met. And he comes up with 1 out, a run in. Hernandez at first base. Carter tied for the National League lead in RBIs with 106 last year, while hitting .294 and socking 27 home runs. Breaking ball for strike 1.
That doesn't confuse you as a hitter. Here's a guy complaining about his finger, and he takes 5 minutes out of the game and comes back and throws the nastiest slider of the day on you.
You can't be looking for it.
Man.
Hit him. Certainly not intentional. Andujar pitches inside and has a reputation for moving hitters off the plate.
Little animation early here. Watch Carter as he slams the bat toward the dugout. First at bat for the Mets will be a memorable one.
It didn't last very long either.
But it smarted. It looks like it hit that elbow, the left elbow, Gary Carter, and it hurts. I'll tell you, when you carry around a reputation like Andujar has, almost every time he throws inside to a guy, people are inclined to think that he's throwing inside to hit him.
Boy, Gary is hurting, I'm telling you.
Yes, he is.
There are, of course, as anybody who's even bumped their elbow knows, some very sensitive nerves in there. That's why they call it your crazy bone, and your arm can just go dead, totally dead from the shoulder down.
First at bat for as a New York Met, Gary Carter takes a fastball right on the elbow. And man, I mean, it looks like it's right on the tip.
And this cold weather doesn't make it any better, boy. Makes it twice as bad.
When people talk about toughness, as we look at Bob Forsch warming up, people talk about toughness in a catcher. You don't talk about the bones. There's no way you can be tough when a bone's hurting like that. You talk about muscle toughness.
Right. And you take enough off the muscle without getting one off the bone. Darryl Strawberry takes inside for ball 1. Darryl with 26 home runs and 97 RBIs, and look at those RBIs after the All-Star break last year, and that included a late season slump, and he still had 55 the second half. Well, we've had more meetings on the mound already than you should have in about a week.
A lot of early meetings. Only appropriate since Vice President Bush has met already with Ralph Kiner. And now the president, I guess he's sitting with the president of Ecuador as we speak, huh? Ralph was caught up in political turmoil today.
1 ball to count. 2-0. The Mets have runners at first and second. They're leading 1-0 over St. Louis here in the bottom of the first inning. And there is 1 out.
If you're Darryl Strawberry, you're staying patient yet aggressive. It's a tough thing about hitting. Get a good pitch. You got to get a good pitch.
He got a good one, but fouled it off.
Good pitch, good hack, little late movement on the fastball. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to the pitcher. I mean, he does have something to do with getting you out.
The only area where you can fail 7 out of 10 times and be a Hall of Famer. Strawberry asking for time. The wind now is blowing in from right field, in case you're wondering. Let up on that pitch, and it went outside. 3-1. Now Darryl can look to get a good rip.
Got to step out, Darryl. Waited too long, man.
Fouled away.
And he had that type of swing, that wait too long swing. When a guy outweights you on the mound, step out of the box. No reason in the world you have to stay in there that long.
It only takes a few seconds to get tightened up in there, especially on a day like today.
See, this is a 3-1 pitch. He didn't make it be a good pitch. A little anxious.
Now 3-2. And the bases are loaded. Andujar shaking that pitching hand like the injured finger is still bothering him. Has given up 2 hits, hit a batter, and walked 1 to load the bases here with 1 out and a run in. And here is George Foster, .269 with 24 home runs, 86 RBIs last season. And George with a very good spring. As relaxed as I've seen him in a long, long time. And this is his kind of situation. Bases loaded. You see the infield playing in double play depth. Check swing, foul, out of play, strike 1.
George Foster with 11 Grand Slam home runs to his credit. Second as an active player to Dave Kingman. I think the Kong has 12. Salami situation, you might say.
You got that right. The crowd is buzzing. Now George steps out.
Have to have George working with Strawberry on how to step out.
George has got it down pat. He's #1 in the league. 1 strike pitch. And George chased a bad one, 0-2. Foster, like Mookie Wilson, another guy you do not want to throw the ball in the strike zone to with 2 strikes on it. Hernandez the runner at third. Carter is at second base, still working on that elbow, and Strawberry at first.
Andujar working from the windup. You're not really interested in the guy at third getting a good jump. You're more concerned with the effectiveness of your pitches. And most pitchers are more effective working from the windup, obviously, than the stretch.
Especially starting pitchers. Sidearm delivery, strike 3, as Foster could not hold up. Andujar has really brought out about everything in his arsenal. Changed his delivery to get Foster.
This is why right-handers especially like to swing early in the count, not allow Andujar to get ahead of him, because Andujar can drop down and paint that black as he did on George Foster. Nasty pitch right there.
Now here's Howard Johnson for the Mets fans' first look at him in a regular season game in a Mets uniform. Hojo played sparingly with Detroit last year, but still hit 12 home runs and drove in 50. Switch hitting third baseman. Takes a strike at the knee. 2 out, bases loaded, 1-0 New York.
Interesting, Howard Johnson's first at bat gets a National League strike call against him, right? First pitch.
Welcome to the National League. Over in the American League, that had probably been a ball. A lot of people poo-poo that, but boy, I think that is really true. Different strike zones. In the dirt, 1-1. Nice play by Porter, but then he loses the ball, and Andujar recovers it. Well, El Gato, the cat, was in there quick, wasn't he?
Yeah, he can really move around off that mound, on the mound and off the mound. And had Hernandez broken immediately, he would have scored easily, but the guy at third base can't take for granted that the catcher can't pick the ball up. That's why catchers keep the ball out in front of them, or close, in a close proximity to that.
One and one. 2-1.
3 straight sliders. You're in a situation right here where you've got a fastball hitter, and our book on Howard Johnson is that he can turn anybody's fastball around. White Rat looking on, huh? Whitey Herzog.
On the outside corner, 2-2. Johnson, one of 14 players on the Mets opening day roster this year that were not on the Mets roster opening day last year. Davey Johnson and Rusty Staub. Up and in a full count.
Now we'll see if Andujar is working from a windup or not. Got the bases loaded. If you work from the windup, Darryl Strawberry, who can fly at first base, will be hitting second by the time the ball gets there, and he may be able to score from on a short single or short double long single. He should be stepping off and stretching right now, and he's not doing it. And that's what they're trying to get him to do, but he's going to do what he wants to do.
3-2, 2 out, bases loaded. There they go. Low, ball 4. Hernandez comes in from third with the second run of the ball game. The Mets lead 2-0 as Andujar has walked 2 here in the first. An RBI for Johnson, and the bases still loaded with 2 out for Rafael Santana. Santana, also a former Cardinal, hit .333 against St. Louis last year. Takes high for ball 1.
He was a leading hitter, and Keith Hernandez was second, so you have 2 ex-Cardinals leading the Mets in hitting against the Cardinals.
Poetic justice. Line drive caught by Ozzie Smith to finally end it. Santana hit it on the button, but right at the wizard. But the Mets come up with 2 runs on 2 hits in the first inning, and 3 men left on base. We go to the top half of the second on opening day 85. The Mets have jumped out in front in game 1, 2-0 over St. Louis. Now here's a word from Budweiser.
Kiner back to our broadcast. Ralph?
Well, I'm not in that kind of pain, Tim. Everything's very happy, but that's because Carter was hit on a fastball pitch on the elbow. And I want to tell you, that hurts. If he got that elbow bone, it is going to be sore for a long time. If you recall, a couple of years ago, Carter got hit on that left elbow and had a bad year because he couldn't straighten that arm out to swing. And it's extremely important that you get that left arm straight if you're going to be a power hitter.
That was the year in 1983 when he had only 17 home runs and 70 RBIs. And, you know, there was something funny happened that season. Bob Forsch pitched his second career no-hitter in September, and there was a lot of bad blood between the Montreal Expos and the St. Louis Cardinals, namely Gary Carter. And Bob Forsch hit Gary Carter in that ball game in the left elbow, and Gary Carter was one of only 2 base runners in that game. Forsch went on to pitch a no-hitter in that game. So certainly Gary Carter has taken his lumps against Cardinal pitching over the years and is not real happy about that particular incident right now.
Was that when after he was hit, he made the big circle toward the pitcher's mound to going to first, and I'm sure there were some words exchanged.
And Andujar, coupled with the fact that Andujar does have the reputation of being a headhunter.
Yes, he does. So now we go to the top of the second. Mets leading 2-0. Cardinals went out in order in the first inning. A good catch helped the situation. Mookie Wilson in center field hauling down a drive by Tommy Herr, and now it's Jack Clark, the newcomer. And Clark, formerly of the San Francisco Giants, gets a fastball. It's a strike. Clark hit .320 for the Giants last year with 11 home runs, 44 RBIs, and an abbreviated season. This spring he hit .345. And a good curveball.
That was Uncle Charlie now right there.
Dwight working with a count of 2 strikes on Jack Carter. Carter, the big power man for the Cardinals now that George Henrique has moved on to Pittsburgh. Fastball hit to deep left field. It is gone. Goodbye. So Carter, in his initial at bat as a St. Louis Cardinal, has done what the Cardinals want. He has homered to put the Cardinals on the board.
And a bad pitch by Dwight Gooden. It's a 2-0 pitch instead of an 0-2 pitch. Ball right down Broadway, and with the hand action that guy can exhibit, I'll tell you, he can flat turn around a fastball. He can turn around a lot of pitches. I don't think anybody in the National League right now, with maybe the exception of George Hendrick, has the hand action with that bat better than Jack Clark.
Clark, an outstanding hitter, hampered by the wind blowing in at Candlestick Park last year and the years before with the San Francisco Giants. And now it's Darrell Porter. Porter takes for ball 1. Porter hit .232 last year with 11 home runs, 68 RBIs. This spring Porter hit .200. And the foul ball, and the count of 1 ball and 1 strike.
Kind of shocked things back into reality, didn't it?
Well, you got to remember that Dwight Gooden is good, but he's not invincible.
That's right.
There has never been a pitcher that has been invincible. One the count, and the fastball. Darrell Porter, a man of many stances, now with a fairly normal stance. Good curveball, but it's fouled, and the count stays at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Darrell Porter really went to that open stance. 2 years ago, he had a pretty good year batting .262, and last year slumped back to .232. But he's about a lifetime .240 hitter. Does a good job behind the plate. A gutty guy who could play every day. Hit the home run occasionally.
First round draft choice of Milwaukee, then went to Kansas City, then on to the Cardinals. Great curveball. Gooden gets his first strikeout of the year. The K's go up here at Shea Stadium. So Gooden, who led the major leagues in strikeouts, gets his first.
Boy, Ralph, you call it right. This is a nasty curveball. I mean, that ball started off around the letters and ended up below the knees. Tough pitch.
So Gooden with his first K, and Steve Braun now the batter. Braun a fill-in for the Cardinals, usually a pinch hitter. Batted .276 last year, no home runs, 16 RBIs. Filling in for McGee, who batted .291. And the pitch, a ball, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, the last time Steve Braun started an opening day game for the Cardinals won the World Championship. Back in 1982, he was the opening day 3rd baseman for the Redbirds.
And he got that job by being there because someone couldn't play.
This guy really deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he went to the Cardinals camp down in spring training 3 years without a contract and earned his way onto the ball club.
This year he had a contract, so he had a job due to his pinch hitting. Tim, I've heard of a lot of people say things because they couldn't play, but McGee is not playing because he feels like he's going to have a hamstring pull. He doesn't have a hamstring pull. He feels like he might pull one.
Well, that's a new one on me. I don't think I've ever heard that either. No.
This ball has popped up. Santana, the shortstop. 2 men away. Mets leading 2-1, top of the second inning. Dwight Gooden, 17-9 last year, will now be working to Andy Van Slyke.
Of course, Ralph, in the last game of spring training, Willie McGee did lead the ball game after his first at bat because of a minor hamstring pull. But that is rather strange semantics, I would say. You feel like you're going to get hurt.
Van Slyke, a good year against the Mets, but not against the league. Fouls it off. Van Slyke hit .244 last year with 7 home runs and 50 RBIs. Whitey Herzog says that if he's going to continue to be the manager, Van Slyke has to have a good year. Jack Clark has to have a good year. Otherwise, he'll be fishing in July. Where was it? It was called a ball. Looked close in the count of 1 ball and 1 strike.
See, a National League umpire really has a better shot for that low pitch because he works the slots. Watch Engel there.
And then an off-speed pitch.
American League umpire has a tendency to stand over the catcher and look over the catcher, but National League umpires work the slot. Now we'll watch Bob Engel one more time. Work the slot between the hitter and the catcher. There he is.
And it's inside. A good view of that one. 3-1. Augie Donatelli probably worked closer and lower to a catcher than any umpire ever.
Always on one knee.
Now retired down in St. Petersburg, Florida. Walked him. Gooden with one of his few walks. It comes with 2 men out. Mets leading 2-1.
Number 1.
And it brings up Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith batted .257 last season, 1 home run, 44 RBIs.
Great matchup right here. Dwight Gooden, who had problems holding a runner on last year, has Van Slyke with 28 stolen bases and 33 tries at first base.
Good spot to have a runner going here. Ozzie Smith, not a power hitter, hard to score a man from first base. If the runner is stolen out, Ozzie Smith would lead off the next inning with the pitcher coming up.
Ozzie had only 26 extra base hits last year to reinforce that point.
Runner goes, a big jump, but the ball hit in the air. George Foster over by the line in fair territory, and that retires his side. So 1 run on the home run by Clark, a walk on a man left, and the score at the end of 1.5. The Mets 2 and the Cardinals 1. Now here's a word from Tri-State Chevrolet dealer. Bottom half of the second inning, the Mets leading 2-1. They got 2 in the first, 1 driven in by Keith Hernandez after a single by Mookie Wilson and a stolen base, and the other forced in on a walk with the bases loaded to Howard Johnson. So the Mets will be sending up their 9th batter, Dwight Gooden, to lead off here in the second. Dwight, a pretty good hitter for a pitcher. He'll get better. He has a bunt try, and he bunts it foul. So Gooden back to home plate. The best year a pitcher ever had as a batter was had by Walter Johnson, who batted well over 400 one year for the Washington Senators.
That's Terry Forster's lifetime average with the Atlanta Braves. Not with the Atlanta Braves, but his lifetime average.
All the way around. Ground ball, again foul.
He's a relief pitcher, too. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
You know, I heard a story about Terry Forster, which I can believe. They were going to give him a bonus of $5,000 to be a pinch hitter, but then they put the DH in. So they took the $5,000 away and put him back in the bench. And again, a foul ball. So the count stays at strike 2. Walking Andujar working to Dwight Gooden. A classic matchup here on opening day for this 1985 season. Andujar, the only 20-game winner in the National League last year. Tried the sinking fastball, 1 and 2.
And only 1 of 2 in the major leagues. Mike Boddicker with the Orioles was the only 20-game winner in the American League. Boddicker winning on the last day of the season.
Went to the breaking ball, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Andujar with a record of 20-14. Had 36 game starts last season with 12 complete games. And he misses a fastball, so Andujar gets his second strikeout. And now with 1 out, he'll go back up to the top of the batting order.
Ralph, I think one of the big reasons that there aren't that many 20-game winners over the last 5 or 6 years, you think about it, back in 1969, the National League alone had 9 20-game winners. And there have been 9 over the last 4 years. And I think one of the big reasons is a 5-man rotation.
5-man rotation, and of course the advent of the relief pitcher that is used almost on a constant basis. Backman thought about bunting, took it, it's ball 1. Backman grounded out to the second baseman his first time up this year.
As an example, Joaquin Andujar led the National League in innings pitched last year, 261 1/3, a third of an inning more than Valenzuela.
And it's a bunt attempt. Andujar bobbles the ball, and Backman is safe. Backman appeared to have a little trouble after crossing the bag. Might have pulled a muscle or turned an ankle.
Steve Zabriskie brought it up in the first inning that Wally Backman and Mookie Wilson both have been working on bunting the ball toward first base. And you see Backman doing that right now. And Andujar actually never had a chance to get the ball out of the glove. You go in there with the bare hand, try to release it. But Andujar, it looks like he's caught in between shoveling it over there. Whoops. That'll be on a blooper film. Early blooper today.
Well, it is scored a base hit, not the classic bunt. You should get the ball by the pitcher and first baseman, make the second baseman field it, but it worked. So the Mets with a runner at first and Mookie Wilson batting. Mookie got a base hit his first time up.
That would have, however, been a good bunt from a left-handed hitter by a left-handed pitcher, because a left-handed pitcher will fall toward third base. Andujar falls rapidly and very ably toward first base.
Backman with 32 stolen bases last year. And the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Mookie, not known for walking, had only 26 walks last year. That's the most he's ever had in a single season in the majors. And he led the Mets in stolen bases, as you see. Backman running, the ball grounded foul. So Wally back to first base. The count 2 balls and 1 strike.
Mookie's sorry he missed that pitch. As you can see him shaking his head a couple of times. He had a good pitch to hammer away, especially to hit the ball on the ground with the runner running.
He likes that ball down low and inside. Right now the Mets are number 1, tied for first place, and it's popped up into center field. Andy Van Slyke makes the play. 2 men away. Backman back to first base. And that'll bring up Keith Hernandez.
Here's the first baseman.
He singled in the first run of the ball game, his first time up. Drove in 94 last year. He singled off the bare hand of the pitcher, Andujar. Hit the ball well right back to the middle. Andujar got a piece of it, but fortunately for him, didn't get hurt. Fastball, a strike. Keith batted .311 last year. Backman back. Backman's lead is not a big lead at first, and this ball hit deep to right field. Going back is Steve Braun. He has room. So Keith Hernandez flies out to right. That ends the inning. The Mets with 1 hit. They left 1 in the score. The Mets with 1 hit. They left 1 in the score at the end of 2. The Mets 2 and the Cardinals 1. Now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover. We're going now to the top of the third. The Mets leading 2-1. The Cardinals coming up with their pitcher Joaquin Andujar to lead off. Andujar, not known for walking, got his first walk in the major league as a Cardinal in 1983, but last year he came on as a hitter. You never know which way he's going to bat. He'll bat right-handed against right-handers. He'll bat left-handed against left-handers. He'll switch on either side at any time. But he did set a Cardinal record, the first Cardinal pitcher to hit a home run from both sides of the plate in one season.
So he's batting right-handed against Gooden today.
That's his power side. And he slices it off the hands out to Keith Hernandez, and Andujar on one pitch grounds out.
You never would know it from that swing, huh? You know what he did last year? He walked 9 times from the right side and none from the left side. So maybe his eyes are better from the right side.
That's so when he wants a walk, he bats right-handed.
So maybe he was up there walking, but he swung at the first pitch.
He got himself crossed up. Didn't check his own signs. So 1 away on 1 pitch. Gooden on the mound for the Mets has struck out 1. He has walked 1. He has given up a home run. And now the batter will be Lonnie Smith, who flied out to center field his first time up. Started off with a curve, and it's lined to center field. So Lonnie Smith, who had to sit out the last 3 days of spring training because of an altercation with an umpire, comes right back and gets on base for the first time this year. Brings up Tommy Herr. Tommy fouled off a whole mess of pitches his first time up, and then on a 3-2 fastball, flied out to deep center. Good play on it by Mookie Wilson.
You can look for Lonnie Smith to run on the first or second pitch. He does not waste much time over there. And, of course, the batter loves that.
Had 50 stolen bases last year. Gooden over to first.
Gooden was tied for the number of balks with Steve Carlton last year. He had 9. So we'll see how much working on that in spring training and over the winter time helped him.
Lonnie Smith, a pretty good lead at first base. And Tommy Herr taking the pitch to allow Lonnie to run, but Lonnie wasn't going.
And I'll tell you what, that's the greatest deterrent to a catcher, is sticking that bat head right in front of his face. When you do that, your catcher really can't gauge where that ball is. Gary Carter out to do a little housekeeping. Someone had thrown something on the field. You stick that bat head right up in front of the catcher's eye, he can't really gauge how he's going to come out and meet the ball.
And of course, if you tip that batter's bat, it's a balk, and he gets first base.
Interference.
Catcher's interference.
You know who leads all players all time in catcher's interference?
You mean the catcher?
No, as a hitter.
Dale Bear's right up there.
Pete Rose, all time. Yeah, something like 30 times. I don't have the exact number, but Pete will be in this weekend, by the way, Ralph. Those Cincinnati Reds and that somewhat big red machine. Huh?
Got 2 hits yesterday.
Yep.
Close play that time at first base. Pete now needs 93 hits to get into that elite circle, the most hits by anybody in the history of the game.
I said of all time, he certainly leads active players in hitting a catcher's glove.
Ooh.
That's a good move there.
Very good. No reason why he can't have a reasonably good move. He's such a good athlete. But because he's a power pitcher, he'll probably never have a great move. He has to get a little wind-up in there. And a good fastball. Counted strike 2.
Lonnie Smith wanted to run. Gary Carter, who likes to call a lot of pitch outs early, may call a pitch out 0-2 or 1-2. If he does, I think he'll have a pretty good chance of getting Lonnie Smith.
And he has a good pitcher to call pitch outs with, as Gooden has good control.
That's interesting, because a lot of people think that you can just go out there and throw a pitch out. A pitch out's a pitch.
2 strikes to count. Hey, had him going the other way, and it was really close.
He was gone then. If he'd have come home, he'd have been gone. Leaning towards second.
Now, for sure, he's got a good shot at a pitch out.
Watch that lane. See? See
What
how
a
quick he
fast
got
move.
back? Good move, good
Whoa.
quick move, good fast all the way around.
He is running. The ball fouled off. So even with a count at strike 2, Lonnie Smith running with the pitch. See where Yogi Berra came up with another great line. He has Ricky Henderson, one of the greatest of all base stealers, now on the ball club. And they asked him whether or not he'd be stealing on his own, and Yogi says he'll be on his own. He says he'll always have the red light.
As opposed to the green light.
Yeah. 2 strikes the count. Good hole by Gooden. The runner does not go, and the ball fouled away. One of the things you can do, as you well know, Tim, when you're a pitcher, is to hold the ball with a runner at first base. That was the best deterrent you can have against fellows that like to run.
A lot of sports that are just timing. Golf's timing, hitting's timing, and base running is timing. You time a pitcher, and that's how guys with not a lot of speed are able to steal a lot of bases. And when you hold the ball, you have a tendency to get that runner on first base flat-footed. They get off the balls of their feet.
Again, a close play at first base. Gooden definitely is showing a much better move than he had last year.
Yeah, that's the encouraging thing. It's not that he's going to pick many guys off. You don't do that to pick them off. You just do it to give your catcher a chance to throw them out should they run.
Mets leading 2-1. 1 man out, top of the 3rd. And a pitch out, the runner not going. Gary Carter, as Tim pointed out, a man who likes to pitch out a lot.
That's the only way you're going to get some of these guys today. I mean, you know, guys like Timmy Raines, he's only been thrown out by a catcher something like 25 times in 360 attempts.
As the all-time high as a stolen base percentage leader. Smith does not go, and again the foul ball. Tommy Herr really leading the league in foul balls at this point in the season. He's fouled off a whole mess of them in his first at bat.
That's really the cat and mouse game that's being played right now. Now that would have been a good pitch to go on, but Lonnie elected not to go on it. But the curveball in the dirt, it takes slower to get up there. The catcher's not going to be in a good position. Carter, however, the pitch before tried to pitch out. Lonnie wasn't going, and that's a fabulous part of the game, the cat and mouse that goes on between those two players, the runner and the pitcher.
Takes 3.5 seconds for the pitcher to throw the ball to the plate and the catcher to throw to second. Again, a foul ball.
I think Lonnie will be running right now. He's waited long enough.
Well, the first prognostication of the year by Tim McCarver.
Oh, I've had a few. I've had a few this game, but you kind of phase over them a little bit.
1-2. Tommy Herr now has fouling off 19 pitches in his 2 at-bats this year. There goes the runner. It's hit down the line, a base hit. Smith stops at second, doesn't know where the ball is, and will not be able to score. So Lonnie Smith, a base-running blunder, and he can only go to third base on the double by Tom Herr.
Oh, Ralph, he went for the decoy. Now, what's a decoy? It's when the second baseman and the shortstop act like the ball was caught by the first baseman. That's what the decoy is. He's already gone for the decoy. Santana and Backman act like something's going on around second base. That confuses the runner. But the runner should never be confused if, when he takes 3 steps from first base, he looks back and picks the ball up. Once you pick the ball up, you know where it is.
That brings up the dangerous Terry Pendleton. Terry batted .324 last season for the year, but he batted .421 with 16 hits against the Mets last year. First time up, he popped up to short. Goes after a breaking ball, strike 1. Mets have the infield back. The outfield straightaway. Mookie very shallow in center.
Not even any thoughts of pitching around the hitter in this situation. With Clark, the next hitter, he's going to be the Cardinals' big RBI man. You want to face him with nobody on base.
Mets 2, Cardinals 1, top of the third. And it's grounded foul. So Dwight Gooden going to the curveball in his first 2 pitches out in front with a 2-strike count. Pendleton taking over third base with Ken Oberkfell being traded to Atlanta. And he did quite a job last year. Two strikes to count. Runners at second and third. Mets leading by 1. 1 man out, top of the third. Full house here at Shea Stadium. Curveball in the dirt, and strike 3. Pendleton walking away. He had a right to run to first base. Carter picks up the out, and here's a great pitch.
And a good play by Carter, too. This is a tough short hop. It's not that real short hop. Look at him. He just catches it. Most guys would keep it in front of him. And when Terry Pendleton swung the bat, that thing that protects his right arm flew off. And now Jack Clark's the batter. Big strikeout, but not out of hot water yet.
Clark homered his first time up as a Cardinal. Last year he hit 11. And he's batting with runners at second and third. Mets leading 2-1. Good batting average lifetime against the Mets. Gooden picking up his second strikeout, getting Terry Pendleton. First victim was Darrell Porter. Both of his strikeouts have been on curveballs. And the fastball.
By the way, Ralph, only other National League action today. The Cubs over the Pirates, 1-0 after 1. We will try to keep you apprised of all the National League scores. And, of course, American League scores throughout the course of this ball game.
Rick Sutcliffe on the mound for the Cubs.
2 Ricks going, huh? Rick Rhoden against Rick Sutcliffe.
Sutcliffe astonished everybody, I guess, when he said after this year he might retire. And if he retires, it'll fool all the sellout crowd here today, and me too.
Scratch that idea.
You don't give up whatever he's making, $1.5 million or $1.6 million this early in a career. He got everybody's attention. 2 balls, no strikes. Back to the curveball, and it's 3-0. So Gooden staying with 3 curves to fall behind 3 balls and no strikes. Runners at third and second. Clark hit a fastball out of the ballpark his first time up.
He'll be hitting now, too. One of the few times you'll see a right-handed pitcher pitch around a right-handed hitter to get to a left-handed batter.
Fastball for ball 4. So Clark walks on 4 pitches. And that'll load up the bases. Second walk by Gooden. And it brings up Darrell Porter.
Batter, catcher Darrell Porter.
Porter struck out his first time up.
This is the reason that it's so important to have the power man in the lineup, to have somebody who's a formidable hitter hitting behind him, because he's going to have plenty of chances. Talk to anybody, and they'd much rather pitch to Darrell Porter than to Jack Clark. Not that Porter's not a good hitter, who's got occasional pop, but not the hand action that Clark has.
And the fastball a ball. Darrell Porter was the MVP for the Cardinals in the World Series 1982.
And the National League Championship Series that year.
He is no easy out. And the fastball is missed. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bases are loaded. 2 men out. Top of the 3rd inning. The Mets leading 2-1. Gets away from Carter, and the tying run will score. So Lonnie Smith comes in from 3rd to tie it up, and what should be a pass ball.
Yeah, that ball hit the heel of the hand, looked like, and I think Gary was asking whether the ball was a strike or not. I was a little low, but see, it hit that thumb right there. That's a very painful thing, but the ball should have been caught, and Gary Carter has his first pass ball of the year. Don't really know what happened on that pitch. I couldn't really tell. Didn't appear like the ball took off or anything.
So it's now tied at 2. The other runners move up, and they count 2-1 to Porter. Foul ball back out of play. Porter hit .232 last season. And he's batting with Tommy Herr at 3rd base and Jack Clark at 2nd. Pitcher allowed to blow on his hands because of the cold weather here today, although it's not as cold on that field as everybody thought it might be. The sun has been shining off and on. Fastball fouled and back out of play. So Porter now with a count at 2-2. Davey Johnson, the manager of the Mets, with Mel Stoudemire. Davey on the right as you look at your screen. 2-2 pitch. And again, it's fouled off.
Well, he struck Darrell Porter out with a good curveball his first time up. He has thrown him all fastballs this time, so we'll see if he goes back to the Yellowhammer.
Porter choking up on that bat. High ball game at 2. 2 men out, top of the 3rd. The Cardinals with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Big pitch here for Dwight Gooden. Fastball hit hard. Taken on one hop by Backman. Hernandez has it, and Gooden gets out of the inning. So 1 run on 2 hits. Run scoring on a pass ball. 2 men left. 2 men left in scoring position. The score at the end of 2.5 innings. The Cardinals 2, the Mets 2. Now here's a word from Nissan. Well, the Mets and Cardinals go at it again on Thursday afternoon at 1:35, and while Vice President Bush was given the honor of tossing out today's first pitch on Thursday, that task will go to a man who gets no respect, Rodney Dangerfield. All fans who attend the game will receive an 8x10 photo of Rappin' Rodney, and the Mets will duplicate much of the pageantry that preceded today's game. So, if you want to join the fans who got no respect when they tried to get tickets for today's opener, why not come out and join Rodney on Thursday afternoon? There are plenty of good seats available for that game, and they can be purchased at any Ticketron outlet through Teletron or at the advanced ticket window here at Shea. See you on Thursday, along with Rodney Dangerfield. And coming in here, a man who gets a lot of respect, Tim McCarver.
All right, Ralph, thank you very much. Rapid Rodney, huh? That's going to be great. I've never met him, and he's kind of my idol. I like his weird sense of humor. Here's a guy who had no sense of humor after being plunked during his first time at bat as a Met. Hit on the left elbow by Joaquin Andujar. 2-2 ball game. We're in the 3rd. Good slider. 0-1 to Gary Carter.
A lot of catchers would have been out of the ball game after being hit in that elbow, but he Shook it off. Stayed in there. But his record shows he does that.
He is a bulldog. Fouls this one back right below us. Too close. Too early. 0-2 to Carter. Carter certainly within reach of Al Lopez's 1,918 games caught. That leads all catchers in either league. Breaking ball and a mistake. That ball backed up a little bit on him. 1-2.
Rick Farrell holds the record for most games caught in the American League.
Another good slider. 2-2 to Carter.
Rick went into the Hall of Fame last year.
Inductees this year include Lou Brock, Hoyt Wilhelm. He hung a slider there, and Gary wishes he had that one back, so it's still 2-2.
Got away with that high slider that time.
Also, Bert Cannell will receive the Ford Frick Award this year, Ralph.
Go into the Announcers Hall of Fame.
Announced a lot of Caribbean games back in years past.
Spanish-speaking broadcaster.
Fastball fouled away. Still 2-2 to Gary Carter. Gary batted .294 with 27 home runs, tied with Mike Schmidt for the league lead last year with 106. Fastball got him. Fastball right on the corner, and Andujar gets his third strikeout. One away, and Darryl Strawberry will be the batter.
This ball backs up onto that outside corner. Fine pitch. Whew. Looked like it might have been going outside, and then it tailed back in over the outside corner, and a strikeout for Andujar.
Strawberry walked his first time up. Back in the first inning, the Mets sent 8 men to the plate, scoring 2 runs in that inning. Fastball outside. Cardinals retaliated when Jack Clark hit a solo shot in the second, and then a pass ball with the bases loaded allowed an unearned run in the third inning. 2-2. Fly ball left side. Lonnie Smith in. Ozzie Smith over. Pendleton, and Lonnie Smith makes the play. Wasn't easy, but he caught it.
Well, the Smith brothers were both there. They're not actually brothers, but they do have the same name. And Skates is known for the fact he is not a sure fielder. Ozzie Smith is known as a sure fielder, but Lonnie made the play.
Lonnie Smith just coming off a 3-day suspension for bumping an umpire in spring training. George Foster, the batter. George struck out with the bases loaded his first time up. 2 out, nobody on. We're in the third. 2-2 ball game. Fastball high to Foster. 1-0. Gets up under this one. Lonnie Smith over near the stands, and Pendleton giving chase, out of play. And it's 1-1 to George Foster.
George batting 6th in this batting order. Had his greatest year with the Cincinnati Reds when he hit 52 home runs, and he was in a power-packed lineup that year.
It's like the youngster Kurt Kepshire, who will be the starting pitcher for the Cardinals on Friday night in St. Louis when the Cardinals open against the Pirates. This ball hit well deep left field, left center, way back. This ball is out of here. Home run, Foster. The Mets lead 3-2.
Foster struck out with the bases loaded on a curveball his first time up. This time he gets a fastball, and it was out over the plate, and Foster put it into home run territory. Bingo.
Can all turn around so rapidly. Striking out with the bases loaded, as Ralph Kiner said, and now a solo home run puts the Mets up 3-2. We're in the third. Howard Johnson fouls back the first fastball. Johnson had an RBI bases loaded walk his first time up. Change up, rip, foul, 0-2. Well, you let George Foster extend those arms and you're in trouble.
It's all over.
You can have him extend the arms out of the strike zone away, but in that strike zone, he is deadly. Fastball misses away, 1-2. Rafael Santana on deck. A lot of action early here at Shea. Back at the Cardinals Thursday at 1:35. Johnson fouls away, still 1-2. Pitchers for that contest, John Tudor will go for make that Ron Darling for the Mets against John Tudor. That was right. You know, I was thinking Tudor was with the Pirates
Yeah,
when I said that. Breaking ball just misses, 2-2.
I knew I thought he had that pitch in the strike zone. A little unhappy with the call. Probably more unhappy about the home run pitch.
I would say so. 2-2 to Howard Johnson. Fouls off a slider. It appears that in this at bat, at least, that Howard Johnson knows how to be a defensive hitter too, huh, Ralph?
Played for Detroit last year, hit .248 with 12 home runs. In spring training, he got off to a horrendously bad start and picked it up a little bit at the end and ended up batting .237. As you pointed out, he's got a pretty good bat and gets out in front of fastballs well.
Fastball is low, 3-2.
And he walked in a 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded his first time up, and that's under a really duress because you're first at bat in the new league for a new team and the bases loaded. Had a tendency to be way over anxious, but he watched the pitch for ball 4.
Point well taken. Fly ball left side, out of play. So it's still 3-2 to Howard Johnson. Howard from Clearwater, Florida, lives in Clearwater, grew up in that area, the area in which the Mets trained, nicknamed Hojo back in high school. Ball hit well to center field, but Andy Van Slyke is there. So Andahar out of the inning in the 3rd inning, but not before the Mets take the lead again on George Foster's first home run of the year. And at the end of 3, it's 3-2 New York. Now a word from TWA. Fans, you can tune into Channel 9 for the best in hockey playoff action this Wednesday at 7:30. The Rangers take on the Philadelphia Flyers, followed by more action when the Islanders challenge the Washington Capitals right here on Channel 9, the best seat in the house, as our colleague Steve Zabriskie is laughing at that Memphis mess up, Follard. Well, that's what we're here for. It's early yet. We got to get the flow of things, right?
I say, well, he doesn't have the best seat in the house right at this time. Our booth is so crowded that there's no place to sit. That's the way it should be on opening day.
That's right. It's a nice day for a crowded booth because it is cold up here, and I rarely get cold, Mr.
You never
Kiner.
get cold.
Here's Steve Braun. Ronnie popped out to short his first time up. Starting today for the injured Willie McGee, Van Slyke slated to start in right, moved to center, and Steve Braun in right. Another fastball misses, 2-0 to Steve Braun.
Dwight has struck out 2 so far through 3 innings.
There's a strike, 2-1. Cardinals have 3 hits, one a solo home run by Jack Clark. His first time at bat as a Redbird. Fastball misses, 3-1. Andy Van Slyke, the on-deck batter.
Better known as Slick.
Old Slick, yeah. There's another strike, 3-2 to Steve Braun. So Braun working good and very carefully. Everybody talks about how a pitcher does that to a hitter, but never how a hitter does that to a pitcher. Top of the fourth inning here at Shea. Opening day. Gooden and Andujar. And Braun fouls it back.
Mets getting their first cold day since the beginning of spring training.
Third strikeout for Dwight Gooden. So Gooden comes back from a 2-0 and 3-1 count to get Steve Braun one away, and the batter Andy Van Slyke.
And this is his first strikeout on a fastball. Other two strikeouts on breaking balls.
Other two strikeouts, Darrell Porter in the second, Terry Pendleton in the third. Van Slyke takes a breaking ball that's high. It's 1-0. Van Slyke with a good eye. He walked in the second inning. He walked 72 times last year. Make that 62 times. Not a lot of at-bats. Fly ball the other way out of play. 1-1.
Played 5 different positions last year. That usually means you don't hit well enough to play one.
Yeah, he's got to be the most powerful utility man in baseball. Ground ball left side. Rafael Santana has the first assist by a shortstop today. Kind of unusual. And here we are in the fourth inning.
Two of these shortstops, one on each side, obviously. Outstanding defensive players and very classic in the way they approach fielding. Here's the other one.
The Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith. One home run per 527 at-bats in 7 NL seasons. But obviously he has not paid his rather substantial salary.
He's really upgraded
home run
himself.
Production.
He was offered a job at $3.50 an hour as a gardener by the owner of the San Diego Padres a way back. Now makes $1,300,000 digging out ground balls. Beats those potatoes.
1-1. Breaking ball. Gooden will handle it. And for the first time since the first inning, Dwight Gooden gets the Cardinals 1-2-3 with his third strikeout. And after 3.5 here at Shea, it's the Mets 3 and the Cardinals 2. Now a word from Budweiser. Well, we're back here at Shea, bottom of the fourth inning. The Mets will be sending the bottom of the lineup, Rafael Santana and Dwight Gooden, and then leadoff hitter Wally Backman at Joaquin Andujar. The throngs here at Shea Stadium, about, I'd say, 52 or 3,000.
It's hard to tell.
Largest crowd at Shea Stadium was back in 1966, 52,812. And, you know, interestingly, Ralph, the last time the Cardinals faced the Mets for an opening day was back in '63 at the Polo Grounds as Santana takes a breaking ball high. And I was a member of the Cardinals team for my first full season in the Major League. So time flies when you're having fun.
And the Mets also played their first Major League game against the Cardinals.
That was in '62. They lost that 11-4 to Larry Jackson.
Best part of that story was they were rained out the first day, and it was a good thing that they were rained out because about 7 of the players on the team got stuck in an elevator, couldn't get out. That was the way the Mets started.
Boding a bad season, I would say, when you're stuck in the elevator. Breaking ball, popped to the right side. Tommy Herr over. Jack Clark waves him off. 1 away. So things have settled down, and usually the players are responsible for that. The players do indeed set the tempo of the crowd, huh? Everything's so animated when you start off, and then after Clark's home run, it seemed like the pale settled over the ballpark, and things got back to business.
Back to business. Business as usual. Players, there is no question about the fact that players get up for a game like this and get nervous.
Base hit for Gooden. Fastball got in on him, but he got it out to center field. Fourth hit, make that the 5th hit for the Mets.
Well, we mentioned that Gooden will become a better hitter as he goes along. Right here, he stays in there and gets a fastball. Andujar makes a dive for it, ends up prone on the pitcher's mound. And Gooden comes up with his first hit of the year.
Well, the batter is going to be Wally Backman as Dwight Gooden buttons up, as he well should on a cool day like this.
He should wear a jacket today, right?
He should wear a jacket.
He does have a light one on, which is very important.
He's a fast runner. He runs well, as you mentioned earlier. A fine overall athlete. Was a marvelous basketball player at Hillsborough High in Tampa. Backman tried to bunt again. He bunted the last time successfully as Andujar could not find the handle, trying to go to Clark at first. Wally 1 for 2. He grounded out to second his first time up. Terry Pendleton in at third.
A bunt for a base hit serves two purposes here. If it fails, you still have the runner at second.
Another bunt toward first on the short hop, and Backman beat it out. I think it's going to be scored a base hit, Ralph.
Well, Jack Clark, normally an outfielder, has been moved to first base, and it is a move to be a permanent move. And right here, he has a chance to catch it on the fly. I would have bet Hernandez would have caught that ball on the fly. And then he can't find the handle, and everybody is safe. Backman again dragging the ball toward the first base side. Putting the ball in motion, and the juggling act by Jack Clark. It is being scored a base hit.
Wally Backman has not hit a ball out of the infield in 3 at-bats and has 2 base hits, both bunt singles. Mookie Wilson, the batter. Slider is inside. Gooden wanted to go. Porter recovers quickly to hold him at second.
And we got a correction on the scoring. It was scored an error.
So change that if you're scoring at home to an error. And I disagree with that. I think had Clark come up with the ball on the short hop, I think Backman beats Andujar
I think he would have too.
first.
I think he would have beat Andujar to first base.
Slider catches the outside corner, 1-1. And Clark really had no play at second.
No chance.
I think Backman intentionally is bunting toward Clark because of Clark's unfamiliarity with the position.
He has not played first base. He's been a fine defensive outfielder, but the movement was to put Clark at first and put Andy Van Slyke in the outfield because of the fact that Van Slyke is a very, very good defensive man, although so is Jack Clark.
Changeup is lined foul, so it's 1-2 to Mookie Wilson. 1 out, Gooden at second, Backman at first. 3-2, Mets lead it. Cardinals had solo runs in the second and the third. The Mets with 2 in the bottom of the first, 1 in the bottom of the third on George Foster's first home run of the year.
Incidentally, Tim, the Cardinals have had trouble at first base ever since they traded away Keith Hernandez.
They really have, haven't they? Traded him June 15th, 1983. Breaking ball outside, 2-2.
They had Van Slyke over there. They had David Green, who no longer is with the Cardinals.
Bob Forsch and Ken Daly. Bob Forsch in the foreground of your picture. Breaking ball, got in his kitchen a bit. Andy Van Slyke makes the catch, and Gooden was tagging up, but he's not going anywhere. Van Slyke with a very strong throwing arm, so they're 2 away, runners remaining at first and second. And the batter Keith Hernandez, who drove in the first run of the 1985 season for the Mets. He singled in the first, driving in Mookie Wilson, and he flied out deep to right field his second time up. 1 for 2. The Mex, as he is known affectionately by his teammates, Spanish-American heritage, grew up in San Francisco. Long pass list for him there, huh?
Boy, they have plenty of room, though. Father, a minor league baseball player, and they say that he had outstanding defensibility, as does Keith.
Jerry Coleman told us that last year in San Diego at Jack Murphy Stadium. played with Keith Hernandez's father, John, who is probably watching us on WOR today out in San Francisco. 1-1 to Keith Hernandez. You know, his nickname is Mex, but actually he has Spanish-American heritage. His grandfather hailed from Malaga down near the Costa del Sol region in Spain.
Nice little beach city in the warm, beautiful sun.
Fastball misses. 2-1 to Keith Hernandez. Gary Carter on deck.
Keith has a big problem. He loves to talk baseball, but he doesn't want to tell any of his secrets. And he has a few. But he can't wait to talk about hitting.
Breaking ball is high. 3-1 to Keith Hernandez.
Andujar a little unhappy with either the call or pitch. It didn't look like it was a strike. It looked like a bad pitch to me, a hanging slider.
If you get a call a strike, you hope it's a call strike and not a swinging strike. Those hangers, it's not where breaking balls were meant to be thrown. Line drive, base hit, left center field. Gooden's going to score. Nice play by Lonnie Smith to hold Backman. Keith Hernandez second RBI, and the Mets lead it 4-2. Looked like that straight change or that fork ball that looked like a pretty good pitch, especially on a 3-1 count.
3-1 count. He goes to the off-speed pitch, which is not a good pitch to Keith Hernandez at any time. He's an excellent off-speed hitter. And Dwight Gooden comes in to score easily. Lonnie Smith with his throw to third. It stops Wally Backman at second, and Hernandez now with his second run batted in, his second hit of the season.
Ralph, I think that's the key. If that were thrown to a fastball hitter in that count with a 3-1 or 2-0, or when a pitcher's ahead in the count, then it would have been a marvelous pitch. But as it was, Hernandez, who waits so well, this took a rifle shot to left field, and the Mets lead 4-2. Gary Carter 0 for 1, hit by a pitch, and he struck out. Beauty, same pitch he struck Gary out on the last time. Mets now with 6 hits. Hernandez has 2 of them. Backman has 1. Mookie Wilson has 1. Fastball is low, 1-1. Second base. Hernandez at first base. Carter with the open stance. Swing and a miss. Andujar appeared to turn that one over, so it's 1-2 to Carter. He's thrown him 3 heaters. Does he come back with a slider here?
Well, he struck him out on a fastball his first time up. Carter's a good breaking ball hitter, especially a good slider hitter.
The hard breaking ball. That's what he gets, and he taps it toward Pendleton. And Backman hustling to third base, but Pendleton went to third. So Andujar out of it, score that 5 unassisted. But the Mets come up with another run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 2 left. They've now stranded 6 through 4 and lead 4-2. Now a word from your Tri-State Chevrolet dealers.
Well, we're going now to the top of the 5th, and Steve Zabriskie in here now, sitting in. And Steve, kind of a classic opening day game. A lot of action going on a cool afternoon, but not too bad, even though I see you're bundled up with the gloves and everything.
I'll tell you, Ralphie, I can't take this cold weather. But Tim and I were talking before the game, while you were with Vice President Bush, about the anticipation. This crowd, it was hard to believe that any kind of game was going to satisfy them the way this opening day has been anticipated. So we got to hope that if the Mets are victorious, that will satisfy their expectations.
Opening day usually sees 2 of the best pitchers in baseball on the mound. We've got that going right here. Dwight Gooden going for the Mets against Joaquin Andujar. Andujar, the batter. He puts a Rico Cardi on you. Rico Carty, an outstanding hitter, used to drop that bat over like that and come back. Look where he puts the head of this bat.
Look at
Let's hit
that.
it
Boy,
now.
You talk about winding up.
Andujar did hit a home run right-handed and left-handed last year for the St. Louis Cardinals. First Cardinal pitcher to ever do that. 2 balls and a strike.
Probably one of the few pitchers ever to hit a home run, both right-handed and left-handed.
Can't think of anybody. And he drills it to right field. So Andujar helps his own cause as he singles to right off the fastball. His first time up, he grounded out. And that'll put the tying run at the plate.
The next batter, left fielder, Lonnie Smith.
Runner at first, Lonnie Smith the batter. Lonnie singled his last time up, 1 for 2 in this game. Andujar, who comes from the Dominican Republic, not using the jacket on this cool day here at Shea.
Well, as Tim McCarver said earlier, he who feels pitchers should abstain from the jacket on most days, he would even endorse wearing a jacket out there today. Andujar doesn't even have a long sleeve sweatshirt on.
And the first pitch he called strike.
Take a look at Andujar. Here he is on the pitch. I mean, that's as far as you can cock a bat without hitting the catcher.
Hit yourself right on the knee. And the fastball fouled back, so the count at strike 2.
Would you say that Joaquin could be characterized as flamboyant?
That would be saying it nicely.
He and Willie Montañez should go in the hot dog business together.
They have the corner on the market. 1-2 the count. Dwight Gooden now has been reached for 4 base hits. Mets leading 4-2. And strike 3 call. So Dwight Gooden picks up a strikeout, his 4th of the game.
This is a very close pitch right here, and he gets some help from Carter. Watch what Carter does to this ball. Sort of drew it back in just a little bit.
Catchers should always catch toward the middle. High pitches down, low pitches up, inside pitches over, and outside pitches in. Carter did just that, so an easy call for home plate umpire Bob Engel, and it brings up Tommy Herr. Herr with a double and 2 times up. Takes, and it's ball 1. Tommy Herr, veteran second baseman. He went a long time before he hit a home run in his major league career. That one popped up on the shortstop side. Santana makes the call and catch. And Andujar back to first base.
And coming around to the plate, third baseman.
Tommy Herr got his first major league home run in 1983 after 1,161 at bats. So Herr is out, and it brings up Terry Pendleton, who has struck out and popped up. Mets leading 4-2. 2 men out. We're in the top of the 5th inning. There goes the runner. The throw by Carter is not in time, and Andujar comes up with a stolen base. Andujar, a man of many tricks.
Well, when we say he'll do anything at any time, that doesn't necessarily mean only on the mound and at the plate. He's a good athlete, but I think Carter was as surprised as anyone else that he took off.
Got a big jump on Dwight Gooden. So that is the first stolen base off of Gooden this year. Andujar now in scoring position with 2 men out. And the fastball. 2 balls, no strikes. As we pointed out earlier, Pendleton just wore the Mets out last year, hitting .421 against them since his recall from the minor leagues.
And you know, Ralph, this is only Pendleton's 4th year in professional baseball. Signed in 1982.
Came fast, and that fast pitch was hit back foul. 2-1 the count.
Well, that shows you what can happen if you can hit. You can move along rather quickly as we look at Jack Clark in the on-deck circle.
A man who can hit. Pendleton was signed by the Cardinals as their 7th selection in the June '82 draft, and again a foul ball. From Oxnard, California, about 100 miles north of Los Angeles.
Went to Oxnard JC and Fresno State College for a couple of years before turning pro.
2-2 the count. Mets leading by 2, 2 men out. Curveball, it is just foul. Pendleton wearing a protective device, and then when he swings at it, it flies off.
And here we'll see it again. He swings so hard, and this happened earlier, and again it was on a breaking ball. That protective device that is attached with some Velcro straps, as you see right there, came flying off.
Be something if Carter would pick that up and throw the runner out at second.
Stranger things have happened.
2-2. Back to the curve and strike 3, and that retires a side. So Dwight Gooden goes to the curveball, picks up his first strikeout, his 5th strikeout. In the inning, no runs, 1 hit, a man left at second, and the score at the end of 4.5 innings. The Mets 4, the Cardinals 2. Now here's a word from Mita. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WOR-TV and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audiences. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WOR-TV is prohibited. Bottom of the 5th, the Mets leading 4-2, and it will be Darryl Strawberry the leadoff. Darryl walked in the 3-2 pitch his first time up, flied out to left field to second. On the mound, walking Andujar, and the shadows now have extended about halfway. Makes it tough on the hitters, and the first pitch a ball. There you see the shadow out there. The ball leaves that bright sunlight and comes into that darker area. Fastball. Darryl, a good spring, batted .328 in spring training with 14 runs batted in. He also had 4 home runs. Off-speed pitch. Actually, the off-speed pitch or the breaking ball is the tougher pitch to hit when you have shadows extending out there because you really can't see the change of the speed as much. Fastball stays in about the same plane.
That's right. It's much tougher to pick up the rotation on the ball.
Ground ball hit to the second baseman, Tommy Herr. 1 away.
Stepping up, left fielder.
Tommy Herr.
Foster.
Let's take a look at Tom Herr in the field. You see how his weight is forward on the balls of his feet, and he's already moving to a certain degree prior to the batter hitting the ball in anticipation of the ball being hit. And boy, that's really the key to being a good infielder, is to be able to anticipate and react.
And now George Foster, the batter. Foster put the Mets up 3-2 with a home run in the 3rd, a long drive over the left center field fence. It came off a fastball. He had struck out with the bases loaded in the 1st inning. Struck out on the curve. So with Foster putting the Mets up, he added 1 more and lead 4-2 in the bottom of the 5th. Gets a breaking ball. It's fouled back. George hit 24 out of the ballpark last year.
And I would imagine, Ralph, you can relate to the feeling Foster had today in hitting that one out, to get that first one under your belt right off the bat.
In my years in baseball, I only hit up 1 home run on opening day. There's a pitch for a strike call. Got it off the breaking ball, and it's 1-2.
You know, if that finger that Andujar got hit on earlier in the ballgame is bothering him, he certainly hasn't shown it. At least if it did, that injury has passed already.
Slider grounded foul.
He's thrown everything in his repertoire with effectiveness. And if you weren't with us earlier in the game and a ball hit back up the middle, he reached out with his bare hand and appeared to nick either the middle or ring finger on his pitching hand.
Ball was well hit by Keith Hernandez, and it drove in a run. Andujar acquired by the Cardinals for Tony Scott, a utility type outfielder, one of the outstanding trades made by St. Louis.
Where would they have been last year without him? Huh?
20-game winner, the only one in the National League last year.
I'll tell you where they would have been. They would have been in last place. That's where they would have been.
Boy, that was close. A sidearm slider. Got 2-2.
And it was most apparent from the body language of both Darrell Porter and Joaquin Andujar. They thought that pitch should have been called a strike.
And it's hit out hard to left, a base hit. So Foster on the slider singles to left field. Mets get their 7th hit in the game.
And again, George had an opportunity, as Tim McCarver said earlier on his home run, to extend those arms. Look how much extension he gets on that ball, and he still is able to pull it. He's so strong. He ripped it into left field.
And he has to be strong to pull from a position in the batting box as deep as where he is. Not easy to pull if you're up on the plate. It brings up Howard Johnson. Takes a fastball.
You were a dead pull hitter, Ralph, and you like to stand up on the plate.
Right on it.
Did you get hit much?
No. Very, very careful up there.
You probably hit those balls before they got there.
Johnson, a bunt attempt.
One thing you can look for with Howard Johnson, and that is that he has shown in spring training better than average running speed. He's not a big guy. He does run very well. Sort of an anti-prototype third baseman from what you might really think of. He does have good power for a guy his size. And the Mets and Davy Johnson may be using him and his speed more and more as the season goes along.
2 strikes to count. Johnson drove into one with a bases loaded walk his first time up. In the air to center field. Van Slyke shading from the sun. And Andy puts it away for the out. Going back to first base is George Foster. So 2 men away, and the batter for the Mets will be Rafael Santana.
Shortstop, Rafael Santana.
Santana lined out to end the inning in the first. That was with the bases loaded, and then he popped up to the first baseman in the fourth. Mets leading 4-2. 2 men out, bottom half of the 5th inning.
A baseball got away from somewhere, possibly the stands, and rolled out over the mound. So Andujar had to retrieve it. That's what the holdup was.
Day off tomorrow for the Mets, and then Thursday at 1:35, the Mets against the Cardinals. Down the line, and let's see if Foster can score. Foster to third base. The ball played off by Lonnie Smith. Foster waved on in, and he scores. Rafael Santana doubles Foster in from first base, and the Mets lead 5-2.
Santana continues to impress, as he did last season and during spring training, not only with his glove but with his bat. And personally, Ralph, I think Santana is capable of hitting near 300. If he can do that, what a big plus it'll be for the Mets as he drives in yet another insurance run. Lonnie Smith on the ball quickly, relaying it to Ozzie, but no chance to get George Foster, who scores from first base on the double.
So Santana with his first hit this year, and it brings up Dwight Gooden. Gooden misses a fastball, strike 1. White singled up the middle in the fourth, so he's 1 for 2 today. Slider foul back. 2 strikes to count. Whitey Herzog, manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, He has his bullpen going again.
You may also notice in those shots of the dugout that the Mets have refurbished both interiors, both dugouts. Bobby Valentine retrieved an errant frisbee. And that's part of the big renovation of the stadium. It's already underway.
I'd like to have a house as nicely built as that dugout the Mets have.
It's like somebody's rec room.
And a strikeout. That ends the inning, but the Mets get one. On 2 hits, they leave 1. And the score at the end of 5. The Mets 5 and the Cardinals 2. Now, here's a word from Budweiser. Going to the top of the 6th inning, the Mets leading 5-2. The Cardinals coming up, and it will be Jack Clark to lead off. Clark is perfect today, 1 for 1 in a walk. Drilled a long home run in the 2nd inning. It'll be Clark, Porter, and Steve Braun as the first 3 batters for St. Louis. And the breaking ball for ball 1. Clark's home run came off a fastball. Fastball hit down to 3rd. Howard Johnson over to Keith Hernandez.
Well, the crowd had been anticipating a play by Howard Johnson at 3rd base, and this is their first opportunity to see him in the field making a play this year, and he does a good job and shows a good arm. He is a more than adequate defensive 3rd baseman. Made a couple of outstanding plays during spring training.
So Howard Johnson with his first assist as a New York Met, and it brings up Darrell Porter. Good curveball. Porter was struck out on a curveball in the 2nd, grounded out in the 3rd. Mets leading 5-2. They've out-hit St. Louis 8-4. Again, a good curveball.
Well, he's got it working now, doesn't he?
Dwight is a pitcher who can adjust to the situation. He finds his pitches. Might start out missing with a curve. Later on in the game, he finds the timing that he needs and gets it in the strike zone. Back again with a curveball, 3 in a row in the strike zone. Porter lucky to get a piece of it.
His strikeout total in this game is not up there in the astronomical figures yet, but he has struck out 3, 4. Well, I was just going to say 3 of the last 8 hitters he's faced.
And a total of 5 for the game. Fastball, it's hit foul. Good pitch. Got into his kitchen. Nothing that Porter could do but to foul it off. Porter went through a rehabilitation program. Changed his whole life. There is Gorman, the left-hander, and Ziss, the right-hander. Mid bullpen. That fastball fouled away. Where was it?
Mighty close.
Too close to take.
Apparently not. Ordinarily, yes.
Another one very, very close. Well, you're living dangerously when you take pitches that close when you got a 2-strike count. You got to have a lot of faith in the umpire. Again, a foul ball off the fastball. The end of 3.5, the Cubs leading 2-0 over Pittsburgh. Only game going other than this in the National League. 2-2. Good curveball. Dwight Gooden back to the curve, and he picks up his 2nd out.
And Dwight has now struck out 3 of the last 5 hitters he has faced and has 6 Ks, as another one will be peeled off. And as you said earlier, Ralph, and very appropriately, he finds his pitches. Today, He's got that curveball working, and he's going to it in key situations. It's kind of a different approach, isn't it? You paint the whole thing and you mask preliminarily the K's.
I wonder how high they go.
How many they got out there?
The record is 19 strikeouts in the 9-inning ball game. Steve Carlton, Tom Seaver, and Nolan Ryan. This is a high fly ball in foul territory down the right field side, out of reach for Darryl Strawberry. It was on a day like this that Tom Seaver struck out his 19. He struck out his last 10 batters, an all-time record. That was against San Diego in 1969. Carlton struck out 19 against the Mets and lost the ball game. Ron Swoboda hit 2 home runs to win it. The catcher who called those home runs, Tim McCarver. Called the home run pitch.
Never be forgotten.
Line drive at Santana. That ends the inning. A 1-2-3 inning for Dwight Gooden with 1 strikeout, and the score at the end of 5.5. The Mets 5, the Cardinals 2. Now here's a word from Texaco. Bottom of the 6th, a new pitcher for the Cardinals, Ken Daly, who came to the Cardinals from the Atlanta organization. He was 0-5 last season. With the Cardinals, he was 0-2. Spent a little time in the minor leagues at Richmond and Louisville. So Ken Daly, the new pitcher in place of Joaquin Andujar, and coming in for the play-by-play as Daly and Porter talk it over. Here to talk it over with you, Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks a lot, Ralph. It'll be the top of the order for the Mets to face Daly. Wally Backman, of course, will lead it off. Wally 1 for 3, really ought to be 2 for 3, as they scored his second attempt for a bunt base hit, an error. Jack Clark would have had an almost impossible play to get Wally, even if he had fielded it cleanly. But nonetheless, a single in 3 trips officially. Backman to be followed by Mookie Wilson and Keith Hernandez. Bottom of the 6th inning with a 5-2 New York lead here on opening day. And a drive to right center field. Braun gets there and makes a nice running catch.
It's interesting that Davey Johnson didn't go to Chapman as the right-hand batter in that spot, but he stayed with Wally Backman. Wally, a switch hitter, batted from the right-hand side for the first out.
You don't see Wally bat right-handed very often anymore. 1 away, and here's Mookie Wilson. Mookie's 1 for 3. He singled to center back in the first inning, stole second, and then scored the second run of the game when Howard Johnson was walked with the bases loaded. And he takes a strike. Now, actually, he scored on Keith Hernandez' RBI single from second.
Mets have 3 switch hitters in the batting order.
Mookie the second to switch around to the right side, and it's strike 2.
You know, only 2 switch hitters in the history of Major League Baseball have hit lifetime 300. Frankie Frisch and Pete Rose. I'm talking about with enough at bats, say 2,000 base hits.
Right. Well, what does that tell you about switch hitting?
It's not the advantage people think.
You know what it also tells me, and that is that a lot of the guys who switch hit are weak hitters, and they switch hit to give themselves a little extra
Very
edge.
true. Oh, we got it.
First appearance.
It's not a tidal wave.
I haven't warmed it up yet. Got to break the ice loose. 1-2 now to Mookie. Ken Daly really getting a new lease on life as he struggled in the Atlanta organization, was up and down over the past couple of years. And he strikes out Mookie Wilson for the second out here in the 6th.
Gets Mookie with a fastball. Joaquin Andujar, the man that Daly replaced, struck out 4, so 5 Met batters have gone down on strikes, and Mookie from the right-hand side misses that high fastball.
Keith Hernandez is 2 for 3 with 2 RBI singles and a run scored. He also flied deep to right field as it just missed a home run back in the 2nd inning. Had the wind been doing anything but blowing in from right, it probably would have been out of here anyway. So Keith off to a hot start. Breaking ball, a little too close. 1-1.
Daly has a good-sized breaking ball. His problem has been getting the ball over.
Misses with that one low and away. 2-1. Keith usually pretty much unfazed by left-handed pitchers as a left-handed batter. And that's why. And an indication of that very fact. Hernandez picks up his 3rd base hit.
Well, as it usually happens when you're traded from a ball club, you wear them out when you come back to play them. Everybody on the side of the trade that resented the trade says, why did they ever trade him away? And everybody asked that question about Keith Hernandez and the St. Louis Cardinal organization. Certainly one of the outstanding players in baseball, Keith Hernandez.
And here's another pretty good one in his own right. Gary Carter. Carter's been hit by a pitch, was called out on a tough 3rd strike, and reached on a fielder's choice in the 4th. Mets leading 5-2, 2 out, bottom of the 6th inning, and Hernandez at first base for Carter. Breaking ball ripped to left field. It's in the gap. Lonnie Smith runs it down. Hernandez going to 3rd. The throw will go to 2nd. Here goes Carter for 2nd, and he's in there. A hustling double for Gary Carter, and the Mets have runners at 2nd and 3rd with 2 out.
Well, here's Gary Carter getting his first hit as a New York Met, all over the fastball. Lonnie Smith throws it to the relay man. Ozzie Smith throws it to second baseman Tommy Herr, but Carter makes it for the 2-base hit. Here's the relay, not in time. Carter had over 32 base hits last year. And the Mets have Carter at 2nd. Hernandez is at 3rd. And the batter, Darryl Strawberry.
Strawberry facing a left-hander for the first time this year. Darryl is 0 for 2 plus a walk. He flied out to left in foul territory in the 3rd and grounded to 2nd in the 5th inning. And as you see, walked in the 1st. And the crowd really buzzing now as Darryl's up there with 2 men in scoring position. A 3-run New York lead. The Mets, as you see, have wrapped out 10 hits. Breaking ball and a beauty, a real sweeping curveball. Started out high and inside and wound up low and away. There's Bill Campbell, recently acquired from Philadelphia, warming in the St. Louis bullpen. Another big breaking ball. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Inconsistency of the curveball. There was a curveball high and inside out of the strike zone. One before the good one you called, Steve, low and outside. Got to have a pattern of consistency to be a good pitcher,
especially with breaking pitches. That's what's made Dwight Gooden's curveball so effective. He can drop it right in there. Fly ball into right field. Steve Braun has plenty of room, battling the sun. He squeezes it for the 3rd out. So the Mets provide a little excitement. A single and a double, but 2 left here in the 6th inning. And as we go to the 7th, the Mets with a 3-run lead over St. Louis, 5-2. Now here's a word from Michelob Light. This Thursday, don't miss the hockey playoff action when the New York Islanders take on the Washington Capitals at 7:30. Followed by the Rangers challenging their arch rivals, the Philadelphia Flyers. All right here on Channel 9, your favorite sports station. And earlier on that Thursday, the Mets will be playing the St. Louis Cardinals once again here at Shea. Earlier on that Thursday, the Mets will be playing the St. Louis Cardinals once again here at Shea. We won't have that game for you here on WOR. So if you want to come out to opening day 2, that game will also be at 1:35.
Rodney Dangerfield will be, I wouldn't say he'd be throwing the ball out. He'll figure out some other way.
Because he gets very little respect, if any at all. They've had him throw out the first ball on the 2nd day of the season. Andy Van Slyke, Ozzie Smith, and then Ken Daly, the pitcher, scheduled up 3rd. Ralph, I'm a little surprised they didn't let Andujar go another inning unless something's bothering him.
Well, he did get hit by that line drive. That might have something to do with it.
They're either going to have Daly bat or pull him and pinch hit for him, as the 3rd hitter scheduled up this inning is the pitcher.
Well, they got action in the bullpen, which indicated pinch hitter. This early in the year, you got a lot of people who could use the work.
Yep. Van Slyke is 0 for 1. He walked and grounded to short. Took a ball from Gooden. 1 ball, no strikes. 2-0. Van Slyke was really expected to be the first baseman and not Clark. Check swing, base hit left field. Trying to get out of the way and wound up with a single.
Well, the old cliche, they all count. This is an excuse me base hit. Didn't want to hit it. And batters always complain when a check swing is called a strike on them, but they never complain when a check swing goes for a base hit.
No, sir. That'll look like a frozen rope in the box score tomorrow. Ozzie Smith, 0 for 2, is flying to left and tapped back to the mound. And there's an interesting story about Ozzie's rumored trade as he bunts one foul. Apparently, Ralph, from what I've been able to understand, the Mike Schmidt rumor about Schmidt going to the Dodgers for 4 or 5 players was actually started because Bob Welch of the Dodgers overheard a conversation in which the Dodger brass were discussing Ozzie Smith being traded for 4 players.
The difference between Smith and Schmidt.
Right. And apparently it was not a conversation about Mike Schmidt, but Ozzie Smith that caused all that furor. And Ozzie Smith lines one that Strawberry cannot backhand. Van Slyke had to hold up to see if the ball was going to be caught, so he only goes to second base. Strawberry either lost that ball in the sun or just didn't get a good jump.
Well, he comes in on the ball, and he does a real good job of blocking it to keep it from going on by when he sees he can't get to it. It was just a little bit too short for him to make the play, and he gets the glove into a position, or his arm, one or the other, to block it and keep it in play.
And it's a good thing that ball did not get by him, because with Ozzie Smith's speed, not to mention Van Slyke, who runs well, they both probably would have scored.
It'll be a base hit as Smith gets his first hit. And now the time run is at the plate. We have a pinch hitter coming up. It's Mike Jorgensen, the former Met.
And here comes Davy Johnson out of the Mets dugout as well to have a conversation with Dwight Gooden.
That base hit is a 6th off Dwight Gooden. Dwight had a stint of 5 innings in spring training. It was his longest. He was scheduled to go 6, but was ejected from the ball game in spring training for protesting a balk call. And here's Doug Sisk out in the bullpen throwing.
Well, one thing that Davy Johnson is always concerned about, and he's going to make the change right now, is the number of pitches that Dwight throws, and particularly early in the season, particularly on a cold day like today. He's going to make every effort to look out for Dwight Gooden's well-being.
And although Dwight was not spectacular in the game today, he does leave leading 5-2, no chance to lose a ball game, and he gets a standing ovation from most of the crowd here at Shea Stadium. He did strike out 6 in 6 innings, so he has averaged a strikeout an inning, and he has a chance to pick up his first victory of the year. Dwight Gooden out of the ball game after 6. He walked 2 batters, and he has gone out having been charged so far with 2 runs on 6 base hits. So the first pitching change for the New York Mets as Doug Sisk comes in the game. Sisk had a great spring training.
Well, you know, Ralph, he looked great from day one. When I got there the 1st of March, he was throwing what appeared to be in mid-season form. And of course, Doug from Tacoma, Washington, has many friends and family watching us here on WOR out in the great Pacific Northwest via satellite. and they're happy to see their son, friend, and relative in there on day one. Doug, outstanding last year.
They were down in spring training, Doug's family, and their parting words to me as they get back into whatever it was that took them back to Washington was, "We'll watch you opening day on our dish."
And they're there, I'll guarantee you. They flew back from Miami, as a matter of fact.
Say this Friday, don't miss the excitement as the #1 baseball phenomenon, the New York Mets, take on the Cincinnati Reds. Live from Shea Friday night at 8 o'clock on Channel 9. Best seat in the house.
You saw Doug Sisk's statistics on last year, 1-3 with a 2.09 ERA. He did have 15 saves to go with Jesse Orozco's 31. And that considering the fact that he missed part of the season with arm trouble. But boy, if anybody's come back and appears to be 100%, it's Doug.
Dave Johnson, the manager of the Mets, has said he's going to try to use Doug rather at the very end of a ball game in longer stints in the middle of a ball game, and that's exactly what he's doing here. We're in the 7th. If you're wondering why he didn't have Orozco warming up, a left-hander, Orozco will be used primarily in the important part of the end of the ball game.
The closer. He's the closer. Well, Mike Jorgensen did hit .250 last year, as you see, but he was 10 for 38 as a pinch hitter. And with those 10 hits, drove in 8 pinch hit RBIs. And he takes low and away for ball 1. Jorge will be a very valuable player for the Cardinals in another respect, and that is defensive play at first base is outstanding. And with both Clark and Van Slyke not great defensive first baseman, they'll make good use of him in late innings. This ball is out of reach, albeit in the field of play, and the count 1-1.
Mike Jorgensen, a former Met, traded to Montreal, has played around, went to Texas, came back to the Mets, and went to Atlanta. Great glove man, a wonderful guy.
The quiet Texan.
Sealed the doom of Yogi Berra.
How did he do that?
Hit a 3-run home run.
A lot of paper blowing down from the stands, so Jorgensen, being distracted, stepped out. 1-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Runners at first and second for St. Louis. We're in the top of the 7th inning. Nobody out. Van Slyke, the runner at second base. And the Wizard of Oz at first.
Both have good speed.
Ozzy's got his track start already there. Strike call, 2-2. The Mets leading 5-2. Doug Sisk in relief of starter Dwight Gooden. Strikeout number 1 for Doug Sisk, and the 7th of the St. Louis Cardinal today. Here's leadoff hitter Lonnie Smith. Lonnie 1 for 3, single to center and scored on a pass ball in the 3rd inning. He's also flied to center and struck out looking. Ground ball to first. Hernandez waits for it. Steps on the bag for the 2nd out as both runners advance. Van Slyke to 3rd, and Ozzie Smith down to 2nd. Now with 2 out. And that'll bring up Tom Herr, the solid St. Louis second baseman. How's that for alliteration?
Very good. He's also a fellow who's had an awful lot of pitches thrown to him here today.
I'll tell you.
About 20.
If anybody goes home from the ballpark today with a souvenir baseball, the chances are extremely great that it will have been fouled off by Tom Herr. Close to 20 foul balls in his previous at-bats today. 1 for 3 with a double back in the 3rd. Ball 1.
Boy, Well, this is a big out right here for the New York Mets. A single would put the Cardinals within 1.
This is what relief pitching is all about. Come in with the bases loaded. And a looping base hit to center. Mookie Wilson on it. Ozzie Smith rounding third. Here's the throw to the plate. It's not in time. And the Cardinals have pulled to within 1. A 2-run single by Tom Herr makes it 5-4 New York.
That was a dangerous throw home by Mookie Wilson. If the throw had been mishandled or offline, the tying run would have gone down to second. There is Van Slyke scoring. Also Ozzie Smith. And fortunately for the Mets, Tommy Herr had to hold at first base.
Those 2 runs are charged to Dwight Gooden.
In fact, the Carter has that good arm. Stop Tommy Herr at first.
So Gooden now can close the book. A snap throw to first in a close play, but Herr's back in town. Gooden charged with 4 earned runs in his 6 innings of work. Terry Pendleton, the batter, took the first pitch for ball 1. Pendleton is 0 for 3. Popped to short and struck out twice, once looking, once swinging. Fouled away, 1-1. Top of the 7th, where the Cardinals have made it a 1-run game. Ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike on Pendleton, whom the Mets rarely got out last year. Probably got him out in this ball game as many times as they did last season.
Pendleton batted .421 against the Mets last year with 16 hits and 38 at bats.
Stoic Dave Johnson looking on. He's also viewing an altercation in the stands. Ground ball back up the middle by Sisk, but Santana right there to step on the bag, and the inning is over. But a big 2-out single by Tom Herr to drive in 2 runs has pulled the Cardinals to within 1. The Mets still lead it, however. We're in the middle of the 7th. New York 4-5 and the Cardinals 4. Just at any Ticketron outlet through Teletron or at the advanced ticket window here at Shea. See you on Thursday.
And we have a new pitcher on the mound for St. Louis, and while he warms up, we'd like to remind you there are plenty of good seats available for the first weekend series of the year. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Cincinnati Reds. Friday night and Saturday are calendar days courtesy of Snapper Power Equipment. And then the homestand ends on Sunday afternoon with K-Day, sponsored by Kodak, America's Storyteller, and Kodak Film. All fans that day will receive a 16 by 20 inch poster of Dwight Gooden, a full color action photo on one side and a giant red K on the other. The K cards are perfect to bring back to Shea all season in support of last year's Rookie of the Year. So come out to Shea next weekend to see the Mets and Reds in action. Dwight will probably be on the mound on Sunday. Snapper Mets calendars on Friday and Saturday, and Kodak K-Day on Sunday. And Bill Campbell, the new pitcher for the Cardinals, 6-5 last year with Philadelphia in relief, an earned run average of 3.43. Campbell, at one time a premier reliever in the American League.
And he's facing George Foster as we open up the bottom of the 7th inning. 5-4, the Mets leading. Foster takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Well, takes all kinds. He must have a lot of antifreeze in him, I guess, because I couldn't do that. Foul back our way. Strike 2.
George with that home run back in the 3rd inning after striking out in the 1st, and a single in the 5th.
That home run was a big one as it broke a 2-2 tie and gave the Mets at that point a 1-run lead. The Mets have led by 1 now 3 times in this game. 2-1, 3-2, and now 5-4. One ball, 2 strikes.
Foster's home run came off Andujar.
Nice breaking ball from Campbell, and he's really got the herky-jerky delivery and had some good movement on that pitch to get Foster for his first strikeout.
Right here, the off-speed pitch, throwing Foster's timing off. He's way out in front of the pitch, swings before it gets there. And Foster now becomes a first out for Campbell.
Campbell's really got a delay. You could almost step out and step back in that little stop motion he makes right in the middle of his delivery.
Remember Stu Miller?
Boy, I'll tell you.
He could eat a 7-course dinner from the time he delivered till the ball got to the plate.
Howard Johnson takes a strike. Hojo 0 for 2. He walked to get an RBI with the bases loaded in the first. He has flied to center field on 2 other occasions. They used to say about him, you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait and you swing, only to find out you should have waited. Johnson did not like the call, but it's 0-2. And strike 3. Campbell mowing him down. 2 batters, 2 strikeouts.
Got Johnson with the same type pitch that he got Foster. Off-speed pitch gives you that little jerky motion, and the ball never gets there. So Campbell strikes out his first 2 batters.
Here's Rafael Santana. Santana with an RBI double back in the 5th inning is 1 for 3. Ball 1. And that RBI double looming very big right now, as it is the difference in the ball game. Santana tried to bunt and then tried to get out of the way, but the bat hit his, or the ball hit his bat anyway.
That's not a good play with a pitcher coming up and 2 men out.
You want to try to get an extra base hit if you can, which is kind of hard to do bunting, no matter how well you run. Two balls and 1 strike.
Campbell was the first pitcher to get big money after playing out an option. He was signed by the Boston Red Sox for what was then considered to be an awful lot of money, somewhere around $400,000.
My, how times have changed. Huh? Guys sitting on the bench make that much now.
Said the Red Sox really are going to ruin the game paying that much money for anybody.
Yeah, the game's really gone down, hasn't it? What a breaking ball from Campbell, who strikes out the side as Santana was frozen. Bill Campbell, more than impressive, strikes out the side, and the Mets still hold a 1-run lead as we go to the 8th inning. 5-4 New York. Now here's a word from Ivory. A 1-run ball game here on opening day as we go to the 8th inning at Shea, with the Mets leading the Cardinals 5-4. The Cards will be sending up the middle of their order against Doug Sisk in his 2nd inning of relief. Jack Clark, Darrell Porter, and Steve Braun. And back in to call it, here's Tim McCarver.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. A considerably different ball game than when I left in the 5th inning. The Mets leading 4-2. It's now 5-4. Jack Clark homered his first time up. He walked his second time up and grounded to third. So Jack is 1 for 2 and a very impressive debut with the Redbirds. Fastball misses outside and a little bit low. 1-1 to Jack Clark from New Brighton, Pennsylvania. Ball hit well to center. This one's got a chance. Wilson back. Nice play, Mookie Wilson. That ball didn't have it had a chance, but it didn't have a chance to get up, did it?
No, he hit it so hard it never really did get up. Mookie had to wait and sort of pick the ball up a little late, it looked like, and then it sliced away from him a little bit, but he adjusted beautifully to go get it.
And Mookie playing a bit deeper than he would normally, not only because of Clark's power, but because it's the later innings. Here's Darrell Porter, who's 0 for 3. Porter has struck out twice and grounded to second.
Even though Clark's out of there, Whitey Herzog told me his interesting reasoning behind playing Clark at first base, and we'll get to that as we go along.
1-1 to Porter.
Van Slyke's been struggling at the plate, as we all know, last year and even in spring training. They really want to have McGee back in there in the outfield, of course, and they'd like to play Van Slyke in right.
Ball lifted to right field. Strawberry glasses down. 2 out.
And I think that Whitey's anticipating, from the way he talks, having to take Van Slyke out of the lineup if he doesn't get with it pretty soon. So he figures that he'll only have to then mess with one position. Whereas if Clark were in right field and Van Slyke were at first base, he'd have to take Van Slyke out, move Clark into first base anyway, and put someone else like Tito Landrum in right field. This way, he'll just put Tito out there and leave Clark at first base.
Well, that's both a positive way of having Clark adapt to first base, as Steve Braun is the batter, and he takes a strike. Braun 0 for 3. As we look at Roger McDowell, the young right-hander, and Jesse Orozco, who logged 31 saves for the Mets last year. Line drive, base hit. So Steve Braun has his first hit of the ball game, and we may see a pinch runner here for Braun.
Second hit off Doug Sisk, and for the Cardinals, their 8th base hit in the ball game. He really sort of fights this ball off a little bit, but hits it well.
I was going to finish that thought, Steve. I think it's a positive approach to have Jack Clark get used to first base, but kind of pessimistic and uncharacteristically pessimistic of Whitey Herzog, thinking that this young man may fall on his face. Ball hit well to center field. Mookie Wilson there, wind blowing hard to left, and that certainly helped that shot hit by Andy Van Slyke. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left for the Cardinals in the 8th. Inning here at Shea Stadium, the 1985 opener, the Cardinals against the New York Mets. Bill Campbell in relief of Ken Daly and Joaquin Andujar, who started this game. Both starting pitchers having exited. Doug Sisk in relief of Dwight Gooden. Tap toward third. Pendleton bobbles it, now throws in time. Good recovery by Terry Pendleton. And the Mets finally got a bat on the ball off of Bill Campbell.
And it took a pitcher to do it. Pendleton sort of nonchalant at the ball a little bit. It was really an easy play, but he made it tough.
I must tell you a story. As Wally Backman trots up to the plate, Wally has 2 bunt singles in 4 trips. Our friend Bob Costas, who does the backup game for NBC, I saw him in the hall when I was out there for 3 innings. He attended the Boston Yankee game yesterday. He is at the Met Cardinal opener, and he's thinking of taking a train down to Philadelphia to see the Philadelphia Phillies hosting the Atlanta Braves in their opener tonight. Now that's sick.
Well, he's either,
and I told him that too.
He's either dedicated or a real fanatic.
Bob is both. He is both. He is a dedicated fanatic.
That's right.
For the 3rd time today, Wally Backman tries to bunt and bunts it foul.
He is an outstanding baseball announcer as well.
Yes, he is. He is an avid Yankee fan. He carries the autographed picture of Mickey Mantle in his right front pocket. He's a beauty, I'm telling you. He loves the game.
Well, he's one of the few unabashed true fans among announcers.
He really is. Ball hit to center field. Van Slyke. What a play by Van Slyke. Woo! A diving catch by Andy Van Slyke, fighting the wind and the sun.
Well, you saw him get up and complain a little bit about fighting that sun. That ball was popped up in probably the worst place it could be, coming right out of the sun. And Van Slyke, they call him slick for a number of reasons, and one of which is he's a pretty good fielder. He made a fine play.
Van Slyke, a.k.a. Slick, slid and caught it, huh? And Mookie Wilson goes down. Not really a purpose pitch, I wouldn't imagine, as Campbell has retired 5 Mets in a row.
This is right toward his hip. Mookie just did get out of the way.
2 out, nobody on. Bottom of the 8th, the Mets up by 1. 2-0 to Mookie Wilson. Wilson 1 for 4 on the day. He has stolen a base and scored a run. The first run of the season for the Mets. That turned over fastball that Campbell throws. You have to take the mitt off when Campbell's pitching. He's got a variety of pitches.
And he's already thrown almost every one of them. Why was he impressive his first inning of work?
Indeed he was. Struck out the side in the 7th. Ripped toward right, base hit from Mookie Wilson. I would not imagine that Mookie will wait long with Hernandez up there, so you're liable to see Porter pitching out early.
Now, Mookie hits a pretty good pitch here. Turn that ball over. Mookie had seen that one before. Clark broke on the ball, then broke back. Herr really didn't have a chance to get to it. It was fairly well hit. But you're right, Timmy. Perfect opportunity for Mookie to get down to second base here with 2 out in a 1-run ball game.
You've got a right-handed pitcher out there with Hernandez the batter. A lot of movement by Campbell. Mookie back in time. Campbell takes a long time unraveling those long legs of his. He's 6'5", 200 pounds. Another throw to first. Mookie back. Well, paid attendance today, 46,781 for a total of 48,863. So a capacity crowd here on hand. Hernandez anticipating Wilson running also, as was Campbell. Did you see him get down?
Yep. Threw the ball and was right on his haunches immediately. When you're 6'5", you better get down. Well, that attendance of 48,000 shows that quite a few people who bought tickets didn't come today, probably because of the cold weather and the fact that we're televising, because the game was a sellout. And there would be, if everybody showed up, over 50,000 in the park.
Earliest sellout in the history of the Mets. There goes Wilson. Hernandez takes the throw, not anywhere near in time. The second stolen base of the ball game for Mookie Wilson.
Watch Hernandez turn, getting that shoulder out of the way. Boy, there's not even a play. Porter got rid of the ball in a hurry and had a good pitch to throw down there. It was about a shoulder high pitch, but look at by how much Mookie beats the throw. What a jump he got.
And they're going to walk Keith Hernandez intentionally. Hernandez, a .328 hitter against the Cardinals last year. He's 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs today. So Whitey Herzog and the Cardinals will take their chances with Gary Carter.
Well, one thing about this New York Met lineup this season, and that is that throughout the heart of it in particular, if you do walk a batter, you really don't have much of a picnic anywhere down the line, because it's Carter, Strawberry, Foster, and Howard Johnson and Rafael Santana aren't too shabby up there with a bat in their hand either.
The Mets, of course, hoping that Gary Carter will be the last piece of the puzzle. Danny Heap on deck. Could something have happened to Darryl Strawberry perchance?
That would be the only reason I would think he would be on deck.
Breaking ball is outside to Carter, 1-0. Campbell led the National League in appearances with 82 in 1983. Traded to the Phillies in the Gary Matthews trade. Darrell Norman Herzog.
One of the few guys around with a crew cut. And he wore his hair long for a lot of years.
Breaking ball hitting. That was a breaking ball there. Obviously no intent there, even though the crowd thinks that there is.
Well, Carter tries to get out of the way. The ball just kept curving in toward him and hit him right in the back of the thigh. So Gary's taken one on an upper extremity and a lower extremity today. That one probably didn't hurt near as much as the one on the elbow back in the first inning. But Gary's got to say what's going on here. Danny Heap announced as a pinch hitter, and Whitey comes out to make a change right away.
Herzog is going to lift Bill Campbell.
It's going to be Mike Shade. Nope, that's not Mike Shade. I bet that's Andy Hassler.
Andy Hassler, yeah, they have changed their numbers around. Andy Hassler is going to be the pitcher for the Cardinals. One-time Met was Andy Hassler. So for Bill Campbell, he started strong by striking out the side in the 7th. And then with 2 out, nobody on us, he retired the first 5 men he faced. Mookie Wilson single stole second. Hernandez was intentionally passed, and then Bill Campbell hit Gary Carter. So the bases are loaded with 2 out, and Andy Hassler is in there to prevent further damage. Andy Hassler, 6'5", 220-pound, 33-year-old from Texas City, Texas, signed as a free agent by the AA Card affiliate, the Arkansas Cardinals last year. Was 1-1 with Arkansas, 7-4 with Louisville and 10 saves, and 1-0 with the Cardinals. He has played for 6 major league clubs, and he had 2 stints with the California Angels, originally signed with California back in 1970. And John Christensen is going to be the pinch hitter for Danny Heap, as Danny Heap was announced. So he is out of the ball game. So John Christensen will go in the right field spot. We do not know why Darryl Strawberry was out of the game, as we look at former Met Neil Allen warming.
And Neil is supposed to be the guy that Whitey Herzog hopes will take over where Bruce Sutter left off. But it's going to take guys like Campbell and Hassler doing the job for St. Louis to have the same kind of relief success that they had with Sutter. In addition,
or anywhere near that
that's
success,
right. In addition to the contribution that Allen can make. Christensen, as you see last year, 273 with the Mets. At Tidewater, however, he hit 316, and in spring training this year hit 255 with 2 home runs and 8 RBIs.
John had a good spring. He swings and misses at the first Andy Hassler fastball. Christensen, of course, saw duty with the Mets last September when he was called up. Experience against the young rookie here. Andy Hassler, who's logged 12 years in the major leagues, pitching against John Christensen. Slider for a strike. Christensen in the hole, 0-2. Bases loaded, 2 out. The Mets lead 5-4, looking for insurance. And there's the agent.
The rookie being thrown into the fray on day 1.
Slider tapped towards short. Ozzie Smith over to Tommy Herr for the force. So Hassler does the job. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 3 left. The Mets have now stranded 12 in 8 innings, but they do lead 5-4. Now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover. John Christensen remains in the game in right field. And remember, Danny Heap is out of there. We had been informed why Danny Heap was the pinch hitter for Darryl Strawberry. In diving for Ozzie Smith's ball back in the 7th inning, Darryl bruised the tendons in his right wrist as Ozzie Smith Got a single that sunk right in front of him. It's not serious, as the Mets team physician, Dr. James Parks, informs us. Darrell will have an off day tomorrow to rest those tendons, as the Mets are back at the Cardinals here at 1:35 on Thursday afternoon. Ozzie Smith, the batter, 1 for 3 with a run scored. Fastball is low. A bunt. Sisk will have to hurry. Nice play, Hernandez. What a play by Keith Hernandez.
Well, Keith not only does a good job to corral the throw, but to stay out of Ozzie's way at the same time and keep your foot on the bag shows almost balletic moves there. A couple of acrobats passing each other.
Andy Haslett, number 51.
Barishnikov and good enough, huh?
I don't know if there's anybody else who's ever played the position like Hernandez can play it.
Willie McGee, the batter, was scheduled to start today's ball game. And as Ralph Kiner said earlier in the game, he felt like he was going to have a hamstring pull.
Skip, I can't go today. I think I'm going to be injured. I mean, you know, come on.
In fairness to McGee,
now, he did actually hurt his leg in spring.
yes, he did. The last game, he did have that slight pull, so I would imagine it is a slight pull.
The way it was phrased, however, was a little unorthodox.
Another fastball, ripped foul the other way. Willie McGee batted .291 for the Cardinals last year. 6 home runs, 50 RBIs. One of the few rookies that hit 2 home runs in a World Series game, and he lines a base hit. Off the bat handle, he lopes down to first base, and I would imagine a pinch runner for him, and sure enough, there will be. Ivan De Jesus, who came over to the Cardinals from the Philadelphia Phillies
Your attention, please.
last Saturday for Dave Rucker. So Willie McGee does the job, limps back to the dugout, and Lonnie Smith will be the batter. Jesse Orozco continues to throw for the Mets.
Lonnie Smith.
Cardinals, however, with 3 switch hitters in their lineup today, really kind of nullifies that platooning. Almost hit Smith. Backs off in time.
And actually, at the start of the game, if you want to count Andujar, they had 4.
He's a reverse switch hitter, however.
That's right.
Another fastball is inside. So it's 2-0 to Lonnie Smith. Lonnie Smith walked more times last year than he ever has in the major leagues, 62 times. And he got hit by a pitch there. Doug Sisk certainly didn't want to do that, and we may see Jesse Orozco to get Tommy Herr to swing around to the right side. We'll see. Tommy Herr singled off Sisk in the 7th inning, driving in 2 runs and making a ball game out of this game today. Orozco's ready. We'll see what Davey Johnson's going to do.
No movement from the dugout yet.
Of course, Sisk is a double play, a type of pitcher that will get the double play ball more than Orozco. The Mets lead 5-4. We're in the 9th, but the Cardinals have runners at first and second and 1 out. Fastball, strike to Herr. Bobby Valentine, the third base coach, looking on. Foul tip. Carter held on to it. 0-2 to Tommy Herr. Santana and Backman both cheating on the play, as they have to do for a double play ball. Backman probably more so than most second basemen. Big hole between first and second. Line drive, base hit. Hal Lanier, the third base coach, holds up DeJesus, and the Cardinals have the bases loaded and only one out, and the batter, Terry Pendleton.
Tommy Herr with a big day today, his third hit of the afternoon. He's driven in 2 runs already as he moves the go-ahead run in the person of Lonnie Smith down to second. There's the tying run. Ivan DeJesus at third.
So with 1 out and nobody on, pinch hitter Willie McGee got a base hit. Lonnie Smith was hit by a pitch, and now Tommy Herr's hit to Foster in left. Cardinals have the bases loaded, 1 out, and Terry Pendleton, who is 0 for 4 with 2 Ks to his credit today, is the batter. Infield double play depth. Strike, 0-1. John Christensen being moved into right center for the Mets, and a fastball for a strike. Came back over the inside corner. 0-2 to Terry Pendleton.
Doug Sisk's fastball has a great deal of movement on it, and that time it really worked to his advantage.
As it often does. Line foul. To 4 Mets lead. They need a double play to get out of it. 9th inning. Tim McCarver along with Steve Zabriskie, and after this ball game, be sure to stay tuned for Kiner's Corner. Strike 3, struck him out. The 3rd time in this ball game that Terry Pendleton has gone down on strikes. He does not agree with home plate umpire Bob Engel.
Just as on the previous strike, watch this ball come back. You can see the movement from the time it leaves Sisk's hand. That ball came back over the inside corner and then some, really. Pendleton obviously upset, but what a big out.
And what a big hitter at the plate in the person of Jack Clark. Fastball is low, 1-0 to Clark. Clark is homered, walked, grounded to third, and lined deep to center field. Fastball almost hits him. 2-0 to Jack Clark. Ivan DeJesus on third, Lonnie Smith on second, and Tommy Herr at first. No place to put Clark. 2 out. 9th inning. Fastball is high, 3-0.
Mighty close pitch right here.
That was a 2-0 pitch. Bob Engel called it a ball. 3-0 to Clark. Fastball for a strike. Surprised there he was taken.
I am.
I mean, you got a chance to win it as opposed to tie it.
That's right. He's their big RBI guy. It's a 3-0 count. You know Sisk doesn't want to walk him. Boy, you got to be be hacking at that ball.
3-1 to Clark. Fastball is high. So we have a tie ball game. An RBI for Jack Clark, his second of the game. Ivan DeJesus scores his first run as a Cardinal, and it's now knotted at 5-5. And here comes Davy Johnson.
Well, that was the first walk that Doug Sisk has issued in his 3 innings, almost 2 2/3 of relief work. But he did hit a batter and give up a couple of base hits that got him into that situation. So Jesse Orozco will come in with the game tied. Dwight Gooden can no longer get the victory. nor can Joaquin Andujar be the loser.
Pitchers like, or managers like, for pitchers to stay on the mound until the relief pitcher comes in. If they leave prematurely without the manager's permission, usually it's kind of showing the manager up. It's not often done in that vein, I might add, but it appears that you're disagreeing vehemently with the manager. So Doug will wait for Jesse Orozco to get to the mound.
Well, the Mets relief pitching, and especially the situation that Davey Johnson is trying to set up with Doug Sist setting it up for Jesse Orozco, is put to the test here on opening day of the season. And I'm sure that he much would have rather had Jesse come in, if he had to use them at all, still with the Mets holding a 1-run lead. But now it's Jesse's game.
Orozco with 31 saves last year. He has logged 48 saves in 2 seasons with the Mets. He was 13-7 2 years ago, 10-6 last year with a 2.59 ERA. But if you think elephants have long memories, what about managers? Whitey Herzog is now pinch hitting with Tito Landrum, and all Tito Landrum did last year, he beat Jesse Orozco with a home run on June 1st, and then July 31st, he beat Jesse Orozco with another home run. He was 3 for 3 against Orozco in 1984. So, interesting development here, Mr. Zabriskie.
Well, it's a perfect move on Herzog's part, because what's that ancient quote we used last year? Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it.
It was George Santayana, we found out.
Somebody. In fact, I got
Spanish historian.
2 different reports on that. Someone wrote in and said it was actually someone else, but I tend to go with your opinion. Nonetheless, Herzog, a memory like an elephant, and Tito's in there immediately.
Bases loaded, 2 out. 5-5 ball game. The Cardinals with 10 hits, the Mets with 11.
Landrum as a pinch hitter last season 9 for 23 with 2 homers and 12 RBIs on those 9 pinch hits, and of course a few of those 12 came on those appearances against Orozco.
He had 3 pinch hit home runs last year. Breaking ball and a beauty. Very important to get that first pitch over, and Orozco did. 0-1 to Landrum. Landrum fouls it back, so he's in the hole. 0-2. Tito Landrum's main claim to fame was in the 1983 American League Championship Series in Game 4 at White Sox Stadium in Chicago, when he homered off Britt Burns in the 10th inning to sink the Pale Hose, fire the Orioles into the World Series against the Phillies. 5-5, top of the 9th, 2 out, bases loaded. Breaking ball, tapped to the right side. Backman. Well, the Mets are out of it. Good job by Orozco as he gets Landrum on a weak tap. But the Cardinals tied here in the 9th inning. 1 run on 2 hits. They strand 3, and after 8.5, it's 5-5. Now a word from Nissan. Tom Nieto comes in to do the catching for the St. Louis Cardinals. Youngster called up last year, and ex-Met Neil Allen will do the pitching. Allen 9-6 last year, a 3.55 ERA. He had 3 saves. He did start 1 game for the Cardinals last year. Traded from the Mets back in 1983 for Keith Hernandez, and a guy wouldn't trade for anybody. Steve Zabriskie in for the play-by-play. Steve-O?
Thanks a lot, Timmy. Well, Neil Allen and Jesse Orozco. It was the emergence of Orozco that made Allen expendable for the Mets, and now they are the pitchers of record with a tie game here in the bottom of the ninth. George Foster, with a home run in the third and a single in the fifth, has scored 2 runs, 2 for 4. He's also struck out twice. Allen becomes the 5th pitcher of the afternoon for St. Louis. Andy Hassler only went a third of an inning. Ball 1. The Mets generating some excitement with a tie ball game in the bottom of the ninth right from the word go. Fouled at home plate, 1-1. Foster to be followed by Howard Johnson and Rafael Santana. Left-hander Tom Gorman warming in the Mets bullpen. Breaking ball in the dirt. 2 balls, 1 strike.
This game does go deep into extra innings. I wouldn't imagine that it would be a problem for the Cardinals to continue working with Neil Allen as we look at Howard Johnson on deck, because Neil Allen has started a lot of ball games and he does have a lot of stamina. For instance, his longest stint last year was against the Dodgers back on June 3rd when he went 5 2/3 innings as a reliever. So he has a lot of stamina. He's a very strong young man.
Yes, he is. And an off day tomorrow would help that cause as well. 2 high, 3 balls, 1 strike. Rusty Staub next to Santana, who's in the hole. The pitcher's spot scheduled up 4th this inning. Of course, the Mets may not go that far, win it, or go to the 10th inning. Ground ball to short. Ozzie gets a nice hop off the edge of the grass, and there's 1 away. And here's Howard Johnson. Johnson 0 for 3 has hit the ball well. He does have an RBI with a walk with the bases loaded in the first inning. A fly ball into right center field, and it may drop her back a base hit. Neither her nor Braun, nor for that matter center fielder Van Slyke, could get there. So Howard Johnson picks up his first base hit as a Met, a 1-out single here in the ninth.
This ball hit off the end of the bat right here. Her going out. It lands right in the triangle, and I guess you could say neither her nor him nor them could get it.
Neither her nor he. Very good. Rafael Santana has already driven in a run, as you see, with an RBI double in the 5th inning. He's also lined out to short, popped up and struck out looking.
I think the one thing that few people realize is how fast Howard Johnson is. Howard Johnson stole 35 bases 3 years ago at Evansville, AAA affiliate of the Tigers. He can run. See if they might put a little hit and run on here.
Safe at second base. The hit and run pays off as Johnson's speed and Davy Johnson starting him keeps him out of the double play.
And what a play. Check this out by Ozzie Smith. He goes over, steps on second base, and throws to first. Even if he didn't get Howard Johnson, he knew he still had the out at first, throwing off balance. I'm telling you.
Here's Rusty, and the crowd comes to its feet.
I don't think they'll pitch to him, though. They'd rather pitch to Wally Backman, but Davy Johnson says, fine, you got to use your best in the spot where you're going to win. We'll see what Whitey Herzog's going to do. He's going to go out to talk to Neil Allen.
Well, they've already had a lengthy meeting. The winning run for the Mets is at second base. 2 out, however.
Whitey's a master in situations like this, and if they elect to pitch to Staub, I would think that the reason will be that it's very cold. And Rusty Staub is a guy coming right off the bench. Wally Backman's been to bat 5 times. So we'll see what they're going to do.
You look at Rusty's, excuse me, Timmy.
They're going to pitch to him.
They are.
And that's got to be the reason. And you really can't fault that reasoning, even though a lot of young managers would never leave themselves open to this.
Well, the percentages always change, and the weather and the situation have an effect. Rusty this spring hit .429. Did play as a designated hitter against American League clubs in their parks, as well as pinch hit. Breaking ball inside. 2 balls, no strikes.
They may walk him now. They've tried with 2 breaking balls. If they don't walk him, they'll throw him another curveball, and you can bet that man right there knows it. There's nobody in the game more adapted at guessing what's coming than Rusty Staub. Another jug.
And it too is low and inside, so a 3-0 count. And Nieto looked over to the dugout to see what Whitey wanted to do.
So Whitey went out there and told him to throw curveballs and pitch around him. I'm surprised they're not walking him right now. Rusty's going to get the hit sign. Might throw him another curveball.
Wally Backman on deck. He did throw him a curveball in the dirt. Rusty will take the walk, sort of an intentional, unintentional.
That's the most intentional, unintentional walk I've ever seen.
And here comes Ron Darling out of the dugout to run for Rusty. And Rusty, as usual, gets a big hand as he goes back to the dugout. Darling's run means nothing, but he will be the pinch runner at first base. Brian Harper into the ball game in right field for defensive purposes. Harper acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates in the offseason. He replaces Braun in right field. Wally Backman, 1 for 5 with a bunt base hit in the second inning. 2 out. Bottom of the 9th, a 5-5 ball game. The Mets have the winning run at second base. Ball 1. There's Brian Harper, the new right fielder.
He came over along with John Tudor in the George Hendrick trade, of course, coming from the Pittsburgh Pirates. One thing, the outfield is very, very shallow right now. It's going to be tough for Johnson to score on a hit.
Ground ball to second. Her off his chest. Everybody's safe. A routine inning-ending ground ball, and the Mets are still alive with the bases loaded and 2 out.
Surprised to see the Cardinals, who had the fewest errors in the National League last year, 118, commit an error in a crucial situation. This has been the strength of this ball club throughout the years, and now it's set up to where you don't need a long base hit to score Johnson from third.
Right off the heel of his glove and then straight up, and no play anywhere. Mookie Wilson with the bases loaded and 2 out. A ball high. Mookie, single in the first, stole a base and scored. Single in the 8th inning, stole his second base. Fouls it away, 1-1. 2 for 5. For the Cardinals, 5 runs on 10 hits, 2 errors. The Mets have 5 runs on 12 hits and no errors. 2 out, bases loaded, bottom of the 9th. Stepping off.
One thing Bobby Valentine, the third base coach, will do, he'll have the runner lead off at third base. If you remember last year, there were 3 balks called, 1 the year before, because primarily of Valentine's coaching at third.
Johnson the winning run at third. Mookie Wilson with a fly ball to center. Van Slyke has a beat on it. And the inning is over. We'll go to extra innings as the Mets leave the bases loaded. They have left the bases loaded the last 2 innings. And have left a bunch on in this ball game. Hang with us. The 10th inning coming up on opening day in a 5-5 tie ball game after this word from Michelob Light. Tom Gorman will be the new pitcher for New York as we go to the 10th inning. Jesse Orozco pitching only a third of an inning and being lifted for pinch hitter Rusty Staub. Gorman, as you see, unbeaten last year after being called up from Tidewater. 6-0 with a 2.97 ERA. He also struck out 40 and has really come along as a left-handed reliever. Was used primarily in middle relief last year, but it's his ball game now as we have a 5-5 tie going to the 10th. He'll be facing, I would assume, Brian Harper. Yes, who will take Braun's place in the lineup as well as in the field. Andy Van Slyke and Ozzie Smith are the other scheduled hitters in the 10th.
That was a good move by Whitey Herzog. A lot of guys would wait and pinch hit for Braun coming in, but he sent in a stronger arm in right field, and he has Harper leading off.
And a strike call. Whitey really plays the situations. Doesn't miss a trick.
No, he doesn't. No, he really doesn't.
Popped up. Playable. Carter back near the screen. One away.
Gary Carter had the luxury of catching Tom Gorman for about a year with the Montreal Expos as Gorman came over here for Joel Youngblood several years ago. So Gary knows Tom Gorman probably better than any of the Mets pitchers.
The only one he's ever caught before. Andy Van Slyke walked back in the second, singled in the seventh, and scored a run. 1 for 3 officially. Takes a ball. Well, about half of the 48,000, I would guess, have remained to this point on a very chilly day at Shea. Ball too low. And a strike called. 2-1. Gorman this spring was 1-1 with a 3.18 ERA in 6 appearances, all in relief. 3-1 now. Well hit to right field. Christensen going back on the warning track. Makes the catch just short of the wall. That ball carried a lot farther than I thought it was going to, and then Christensen originally thought it would.
Now, this is what happens when you fall behind. A left-hander can really waylay on that 3-1 pitch. John Christensen makes a nice play. You saw him see where the wall was. Now he realizes where he is when he's there. There's that look toward the wall. And he makes a pretty nice play out of it. That ball's a home run any other day.
Probably
so. That wind blowing in. But Keith Hernandez hit a ball to the middle of the warning track earlier in the ball game that may also have been a home run on another day.
Strike called to Ozzie Smith. It's 1-1 to the Wizard. Yeah, what wind has been blowing in has been blowing in from right all afternoon long. And a strike called, strike 2. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 out here in the 10th inning. Nobody on. Breaking ball lofted into left field, into the gap. Foster over, can't get it. It'll go all the way to the wall. Ozzie rounding second will hold there with a double. Ozzie's second hit, a 2-out double here in the 10th.
Catcher, Tom Nieto.
A pretty good fork ball right here. That ball going down pretty well, and Ozzie Smith, who is stronger from the right side than the left side, top hands it to left center field. Very interesting what would be going through Ozzie Smith's mind with all the trade rumors abounding, thinking that if he helps this ball club right now, it may not really count. It may not even matter. So why help him? I guess that's what the Mets are thinking, right?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't appear to be his philosophy.
I guess it's kind of a far-out thought, but, you know, I would imagine that has run through his mind since all the trade rumors have come up.
Probably, but do you think he thinks about something like that when he gets on the field?
Nah.
No.
Nah.
See the ball hit it.
Competitiveness takes over.
Tom Nieto hitting for the first time. Fouls one off, and he's in the hole 0-2. Nieto last year hit .279 in 33 games for the Cardinals.
He was 6 for 12 with a home run against the Mets, batted .500 against the New Yorkers.
he's big enough to hit him out. No pitch, as Nieto asked for time and stepped out.
I think both sides have been hurt by a number of 0-2 pitches today, and maybe Gary is telling Tom that. If a guy reaches and hits one off the end of the bat 0-2, or you jam him and he flares one in, there's nothing you can do about that. But with a man on second, the person of Ozzie Smith, will make a young hitter like this possibly go for a bad ball, as they are prone to do.
Boy, that pitch just missed on the outside corner. That was a very good 0-2 pitch.
Oh, this is close, Steve. You're right. I think it was a little bit low and maybe off the plate a little bit, but that's the typical, prototypical 0-2 pitch. The prototypical good 0-2 pitch.
Right. Breaking ball hit in the air to left, or rather right center field. Mookie's over, and the inning is over. Nieto flies out to end it. A 2-out double strands Ozzie Smith at second. We're in the middle of the 10th inning. Still a 5-5 tie between the Mets and the Cards. Now here's a word from Budweiser. Steve Zabriskie along with Tim McCarver back here at Shea Stadium, reminding you to stay with us for the 1985 debut of Kiner's Corner. Ralph's post-game show a bit delayed today by this extra inning affair on opening day. Neil Allen working in relief for St. Louis against Tom Gorman of the Mets here in extra innings. The starters, Joaquin Andujar and Dwight Gooden, were both gone by the middle of the ball game, basically.
Tomorrow afternoon, it's the classic story of Gorilla Meets Girl in the original King Kong, starring Fay Ray and the 30-foot ape. Wednesday on the 4 o'clock movie. I mean, I think that's starring Fay Ray and a 30-foot ape. I mean, everybody knows what King Kong's about, right?
I guess so, and I don't know if the girl and the ape are actually a classic story or not.
No, I don't know. It's certainly not a normal story. No. It's a sick story is what it is.
I mean, it wasn't like it happened a lot of times before King Kong came along.
No.
Hi, know any 30-foot apes in town? Classic movie, however.
Any place I could go to meet a 30-foot ape?
Try the Empire State Building. Outside.
Cabaret dining.
That's right. The elevator doesn't go that high. All right, bottom of the 10th inning in a 5-all game, and Keith Hernandez leads it off for the Mets against Neil Allen, the guys who were traded for each other. Hernandez to be followed by Carter and Christensen. Ball 1 to Keith. Hernandez 3 for 4, 3 singles, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. He also just missed a home run to right his other at bat, and he walked. 1-1. He was walked intentionally in the 8th. Allen, the 5th St. Louis pitcher today. Paper blowing around will be retrieved by Hernandez. Don't need any additional distractions up there when you're trying to hit that little pill. On the corner, strike 2, 1-2. Two now.
One thing about Neil Allen, everything's the same speed. He throws his curve almost as hard as he does his fastball.
Way inside and a full count. Neil's problem has been over the years controlling that curveball. Maybe if he'd take a little something off of it, he'd have better luck. Gary Carter, the on-deck hitter.
Now, if you take something off of it just to get it over, then you got a flat breaking ball.
That's true. But he still
really
does.
wraps it tightly. You don't see too many curveballs like the type he throws. I mean, he's got a downer.
Well, Dwight Gooden has one. A classic curveball. Not much wind blowing right now, as you see. Fouled away. And that's all Keith wanted to do with that pitch. Still 3-2. Hernandez leading off the bottom of the 10th inning. Strike 3 call.
And Keith knew it. You don't see him called out on strikes, but he was probably looking for something on the other side of the plate. That's right on the corner there, front part of the plate. Keith said something mildly to Bob Engel, but he knew it was a strike. That plate has corners, and he knows that. Probably looking for something on the inner half of the plate, though, it appeared.
Breaking ball for a strike to Gary Carter. Carter's been hit by a pitch twice, doubled to left center, struck out, and reached on a fielder's choice. Another breaking ball, and this could be the ball game. Deep to left. Out of here. Gary Carter, a game-winning home run in the bottom of the 10th inning, and the Mets win on opening day 6-5. Welcome to New York, Gary Carter.
This game started with the World Series atmosphere, and I think it has more one right now. About 40% of these fans have fanned out of here at Shea Stadium, and I'm telling you, he did not hit a bad pitch. A nasty curveball, low and away. Woo!
Well, the ballet-hooed arrival of Gary Carter in a Mets uniform could not have ended on a better or higher note.
Some of you folks are watching. You go out and try to hit a pitch in that position out that far. I guarantee you, with that downward action, that is a nasty pitch, a nasty curveball, outside corner. It was up just a little bit. But Neil Allen suffers his first defeat of the year at the hands of Gary Carter. And I mean, that was a rope. There wasn't a lot of loft to that ball.
This ball does just get over the bullpen fence in left field. Lonnie Smith thought he had a chance at it.
Oh, what a storybook finish to this ball game. Man.
And what a classic picture of Lonnie Smith pounding the ground in disgust.